We have Lady Liberty heads. The Eagle is the tails. Okay, please call it in the air. Call it heads. It is a tail. Okay, it is a tail. Blue, you won the toss. You want the ball. Where do you want to kick it? Okay, Blue, go up there. Blue has won the toss and is elected to receive. Good luck, fellas.
It's very interesting. The wind's not a huge factor, but Southern Columbia electing to look away from the sun in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the sun could be a factor here. The sun is going to basically cross the field from left to right and set in the left-hand corner, lower left-hand corner of your screen as you look at the Rochester offense that'll set up shop. No real size difference between the offensive and defensive lines of Rochester and Southern Columbia here this afternoon.
Sean Zaccani, by the way, a 300-pounder there. Zach Harvey makes it go. Reuben Jackson. We'll also see a lot of Mookie Anderson as well. One of the big running backs for Rochester, who had 185 yards in the Western final last week, as Southern Columbia gathering around Jim Roth for final instructions. You talk about Pantheon programs, Gary. This is one of them. Jim Roth has been there, done that. They're 113, 13-1. We're going to take you around the Hershey Park Stadium for a national anthem as we gear up for the final in single A. For a better day on this 11th day of December, Friday afternoon, Rochester and Southern Columbia. This will be the fourth trip to the finals in the last 5 years for Southern Columbia. They won it all in '93 at a heartbreaker a couple of years ago against Farrell. A lot of the sophomores are now seniors that were there, Gary, and obviously Jim Roth leaning on them big time in the postseason.
One guy he'll lean on a lot today is Nick Slater, who felt that pain as a sophomore. They also are missing a guy named Rico Rossini, who's now a great running back at Bucknell. But, you know, when you have a great system, Jed, you fill the parts back in. The names change. The system remains the same. And for Southern Columbia, it's a system that yields up success year after year.
Mark, there's nothing subtle about this game. They like to live on the land. They're going to try and jam it down each other's throats here. Who can throw the ball better? That'll be the key in this game. Who gets to the lead first? Big key number 2.
Oh, no question about it, Jed. I was speaking with some of the Rochester coaches prior to the game, and I said, does this win concern you at all? And they just kind of laughed and said, not at all. Rochester averages about 5 passes per game. Southern Columbia, about 7 pass attempts per game.
Going deep is going to be Randy Bacon and Reuben Jackson for Rochester. They are a pair of home run hitters. Special teams will be huge today with that gust of wind that you saw on the screen in the beginning. Fielding punts could be mandatory. Slater's into the kickoff. It's going to be Reuben Jackson at about the 8-yard line. Jackson sees the wet break, has a big hole, and Southern Columbia closes it off at about the 25-yard line. The tackle is made. Nazarchik, a 5'7", 155-pound junior. And let's have a look at Southern Columbia's defense, which has really been stout. Their backups have been yielding a lot of points. The big guy up there is P.J. Sargent as far as their secondary, and also we'll call Mike Fox's name a lot today.
Mike Fox, Ben Meisner, Nick Fisher, and Tyler Weaver round out the defensive front.
P.J. Sargent, by the way, is a medalist the last 2 years in wrestling. He is fielding offers in that sport. And off going to be the fullback. That's going to be Darrell Damon, a 6'2", 220-pounder. And now we'll look at the rest of the Southern Columbia defense, and then we'll get back into this game a little bit. They're the linebackers. Eric Steffen is the leading tackler. We'll call his name all day. And Matt Bubness is the playmaker at the one cornerback position, and also a split end we'll see a lot on the offensive side today. A gain of 4 for Darrell Damon, one of 4 players for Rochester suffering from knee injuries. Mark will kind of go into the clinic here and explain what all of that means. Opening minute of the final in single A, and a marker comes down. Looks like motion to the backfield, but Jackson just one of 4 guys, 3 of which are playing. 1 is out, that being Mike Rowe. The others gutting it out here.
Oh, yeah, number 68, Chris Platko. He tore an ACL in his left knee as a junior. He played all year on it and actually had to be carried off the field in the stretcher in the WPIAL championship game. Number 58, Tom Hillework. He was injured he injured his knees very seriously as a sophomore, tore an ACL. He re-injured it in week 4, but he's going to gut it out as well. And like you said, the fullback partial tear at the PCL, talking about Darrell Damon. And he missed 2 months of the season, but he is back and ready to go. So, yeah, Rochester's been banged up throughout the year, but these kids have just toughed it out.
Penalty, moves it to 2nd and 11. Handoff, Jackson, big hole, has 5, and a gain of about 7 or 8. Make that Mookie Anderson. Well, they're like shark's teeth. They can pound them through there. Anderson with 185 yards. Look at him here, Gary. He's got a lot of moves quickly.
Well, just going between tackles that time, sprinting up the middle. And this is a team that's got great speed to the outside, but that time they show you what they can do up the middle, off the unbalanced line.
That's Rochester football right there. Sorry, Mark.
Talking to the Rochester coaches prior to the game, and I said, you know, you guys may have the speed advantage here in this game. You guys are going to take advantage of that with going around the end? I said, well, we've got a couple of game plans we're looking at, and that time they went towards the middle.
3rd and 4. Handoff going to be Anderson again. Slices forward. Ball is down. Southern Columbia, I think, has got it at the 41-yard line. They stripped the ball right at the line of scrimmage, and I think Southern Columbia is on the skin at the 41-yard line. This is Anderson on the carry. Eric Steffen popped it out of there.
Eric Steffen, who he really plays an involved role as a linebacker. That's what Coach Jim Ross says. Well, now they're going to turn it around and give it back to Rochester.
Looks like they won a big-time battle in there. The wide receiver, Chris Griffin, I think, won the battle underneath the pile.
You know, when you watch Steffen play, though, he's a great example of what a linebacker should do. See the guy coming, see the blocker coming, but always focus on that football. He did it very, very well there in stripping and getting the possible fumble. Steffen, by the way, 23 tackles last week against Strathaven, and that is a record in Southern Columbia history.
Well, that's a huge break for Rochester, avoiding a turnover at 1st and 10. They got the ball at their own 40. The motion man is Griffin. Handoff going to be the big fullback again. That is Darrell Damon. He'll get a lot of carries today. Nothing subtle about that. A gain of 2.
Fans who have followed Rochester all year may be wondering, where is Reuben Jackson? As we look at Randy Mookie Anderson once again. Anderson, that is actually Jackson. But Jackson, 1,500 yards throughout the year. Then he was hurt in a game late in the year, twisted his back. He's had a bad back throughout the year. He's had all kinds of treatment, heat, shock, electrical treatments, but he is ready to go today.
When you have 4 backs there that average 5.5 yards a carry, you don't worry too much if you see the dive on the right side again.
That's Jackson to about the 47-yard line, short of a first down. There you see some of the wall. This is going to be where the game is won or lost. What else is new in any football game right up front there?
Well, yeah, there's no secret to the game plan of both coaches here. That is keep the ball on the ground, control the clock, and when you get into scoring position, take advantage of it and get some points on the board.
Getting a lot behind John Zatani, a 300-pounder, as a team manager a couple of years ago. Full house staff, handoff. Mookie Anderson has the first down, pushes the pile to the Southern Columbia 45-yard line. Well, they avoid the turnover about 3 plays ago, and here they're driving it again, moving around fresh legs on Mookie Anderson.
Look at the surge of the offensive line. They got them 2 and 3 yards deep before Anderson ever even gets to the line of scrimmage, and you're going to watch that throughout the afternoon. That'll certainly be a telltale sign for both these running teams in this game.
Great block that time, but number 20, the lead back, Randy Bacon, a 5'8", 160-pound junior.
Also, Khalid Mersing is a guy that moves it through. Anderson, big hole, has 5, has 10 for another first down to the 35-yard line. And Rochester is doing it very well between the tackles. No reason to go outside.
Just a great cutback run. Look at this. He finds the hole, cuts back into the hole, followed his blocker very well. That was big number 71, the guy you were talking about earlier, Jed, the 300-pounder, Sean Zucchini, 6'3", 300 pounds. He goes both ways, offensive and defensive tackle. That time opened up a huge hole for Mookie Anderson, and it's 1st and 10 at the ball at the 36-yard line for Southern Columbia.
Good kick out downfield as well. Handoff first hand through. It's going to be Kirby Griffin this time. He's a sophomore, 6-footer, 170 pounds. Runs headstrong into Jay Andrews for Southern Columbia. Also in on the stop, Mark Osavalla. Name familiar? Should be. Older brother Brad led Southern Columbia to a 1993 state championship in single A. He was a good one, too.
Yeah, Southern Columbia, they certainly know their way to the state title game. They're making their 4th appearance in the state finals. That is the most by a Class single A school since the playoffs began in 1988.
Ball at the 33-yard line and 7:32 left. Hand off Anderson, big hole into the secondary, 20, could go, past the 10, pouring at 5, and it's a touchdown. Mookie Anderson and Rochester has roared home on their opening possession and takes a 6-0 lead with 7:23 to go in the opening quarter, and he blew it wide open.
36-yard run. Watch this block right here, and he breaks, makes the move, and right there, steps on a dime and heads for the end zone. Mookie Anderson with the first score of the single A championship game this afternoon.
5 carries for 68 yards in that drive for Mookie Anderson, and here's why. The last 36 on the highway running west.
Brian Breach had the last shot at him for Southern Columbia, and Mookie Anderson had a full head of steam, shook the tackle, and scampered into the end zone for the first score of the ballgame.
Ralph Bogdanovich is on for the conversion. The kick is up, and it is no good. He pushed it wide left. 7:23 to go in the opening quarter, and Rochester has taken the opening possession. Got a bit of a break there, obviously. Hey, luck follows preparation, right, Gary?
Luck always follows preparation. You know, when you're getting ready for a game like this, number 1, you want to get on the board first. Number 2, you want to attack with what you know well. And number 3, you want to be able to adjust to what you don't know. So far, the attack and getting on the board first all belongs to Rochester.
Well, those missed extra points loom large. Southern Columbia now gets their first chance to counter the Rochester offense.
Well, that's right. We mentioned the wind. The wind is certainly a factor when it comes to the kicking game. And we were talking earlier in the booth here, you know, the wind's not going to be a factor unless someone has a real light tailback, because these two teams are going to keep the ball on the ground throughout most of the day. But Mookie Anderson, as you mentioned, Jed, stepped in place of the injured Reuben Jackson last week and just had a remarkable game, over 180 yards. And when you can plug a guy like that in when your star tailback gets injured, it certainly enhances your chances of getting to the state title games like Rochester has done. But what a talented group of kids on both sides of the ball. But, yeah, Mookie Anderson, that time you saw the great cutback run, too. He read his blockers very nicely, cut it back towards the inside of the field, shook a tackler, and it was all pay dirt from there on in.
That's his 16th touchdown of the year. He came in with a 1,061. He had a $1.85 last week in their 41-6 win in the Western Final over Smethport.
Going back to that missed extra point for a moment, guys, you know, last week, 4 missed extra points for this same Rochester team in the Western Final. So the kicking game may not be what's going to get it done for them this afternoon, but when you have a ground game like that, they may not have to.
P.J. Sargent, he'll wear number 4, and Mark Yurkevich on the deep end. And it's going to be Yurkevich at about the 16-yard line. He's got some wheels, trying to pound it outside, still alive, and good field position for Southern Columbia to start their initial drive at the 35-yard line. And it all begins and ends, in my opinion, with Eric Steffen, a 3-year starter, a quarterback. And this is going to be a guy who's going to look for. But Mark Yurkevich, a real smart player, smart run on the kickoff here,
yeah,
Mark.
Just look at him read his blocks there. Mark Yurkevich, a senior, and he's one of the trio of fine backs that Southern Columbia will sport throughout the day.
Well, Nick Slater, he's a 3-year starter. He was here a couple of years ago. 6'2", 190-pounder. The motion man is Steffen. He's going to pound it through with big Sean Gall, 6'1", 190-pound fullback. And he got run over by Tom Highwiller, 5'11", 190-pounder. One of the 4 guys we talked about for Rochester playing with bad knees. Rick Damon in on the stop as well for the Rams.
You know, many Southern Columbia fans were worried about, is there life after the great Rico Rossini leads the program? And yes, there is. And we'll talk about the fine work of Gall and Yurkevich and Steffen in a minute.
Handoff going to be Yurkevich. Trying to pound it outside. Rochester there defensively again. David Kindleberger in on the stop. He was the hero in the WPIL final with a big interception in the overtime win against Monaca.
Yeah, look at Kindleberger just plugging the hole right there, stopping a running attempt for Southern Columbia. Big play now for Southern Columbia. 3rd and 5, ball at their own 40-yard line.
Right now, Rochester's putting 6 men up on the line. They're really daring Southern Columbia to throw the football.
Which they can do. Slater has really thrown it well, especially over the last month and in postseason. Slater, play action, has a hole up the middle, 1st down, and he slams forward to the Rochester 48-yard line. That's what he'll do. Little quarterback keeper that time for a gain of 8. Big block as well up front that time.
Nick Slater's just a tremendous athlete, number 12, the quarterback here. He's 36-7 throughout his career at Southern Columbia, and he's taken to the Tigers to the Eastern Finals in consecutive years, now appears in the state finals in 96 and 98. Slater's an honor student, very smart kid. He's being looked at by Ivy League schools and several schools in the Patriot League.
Give credit, too, to Matt Jankowski with a good kick-out block to at least give him some room. Handoff Eric Steffen. He's picking his way through the woods. Not much room there to the Rochester 49-yard line. 6 guys in the box. It's not going to be a lot of room to play with in there. Simple gain. Got about, let's call it 3.
Yeah, 6 in the box for Rochester. That time, Steffen tried to pick his way, find a hole that just never really materialized. Good pursuit, good ball pursuit by the linebackers and the defensive line of Rochester.
Kind of a 6-2 look so far, and again, both these teams, the time of possession this afternoon, so important.
McKevitz trying to get to the outside, going to get strung out and popped down. Randy Bacon in on the stop for Rochester. Well, they strung that out. There was no way to go. And you're going to find out exactly why everybody loves the Rochester quarterbacks. They can play the run very well here.
Yeah, Randy Bacon, just 5'8", 160 pounds, but hey, he comes up and makes a big stick. Look at this hit on Yurkevich. Yurkevich looks like he might get the corner here, but here comes Randy Bacon, number 20. Proper tackling technique, too. Take the bigger man out, down low.
3rd and 6, Southern Columbia at the Rochester 48-yard line. They've already connected on 3rd and 5. Motion man Steffen, he's got room to the outside. Can he get a hole? Yes, he does. Steffen pounding, close to a 1st down at about the 42. I think he's there.
You see the slant coming off the left side this time, kind of waiting for his blockers to set up. Now heads for the hole, fights his way down near 1st down yardage.
He's going to be about a half yard short.
A couple of great lead blocks out there by number 55, Chad Rodarmel, a 5'10", 215-pound junior, and also Zach Getkin, 5'8", 190-pound senior out there leading the way. 1st
down. They brought the chains out, and Eric Steffen with some second effort. Seems like he's been here 10 years. 5'11", 190-pounder. That was good, well-executed play that time. You know, wing T. Sorry, Gary.
That's okay, Jeff.
Get into this. Slater, a 3-year starter with that particular offense. It could be huge. A lot of reason why they're here. Steffen again picks his way forward. Positive yardage. Good second effort to about the 38-yard line. Sean Zakanian on the stop. Again, he's the 300-pound look, a guy's team manager a few years ago. Let's see Mr. Steffen again. This time not much room to play with, but he burrows his way forward.
You've got to be impressed with the lateral pursuit and the quickness of this Rochester team. You know, you see a hole and all of a sudden it just jams down so quickly.
Ball just outside the 38 for Southern Columbia. This is their 1st possession of the game. 3:45 and counting to go in the opening quarter. Slater, play action, going to keep it himself. Not this time. Zakani's got him from behind. A lot of help from teammate Eric Krebs. 5'11", 220-pounder. Well, Rochester's down guys are big, Mark, but we can see they can really move.
Yeah, watch Krebs and Zakani's. They fight off their blocks right away. Zakani's the first one to hit him. He's a big 300-pounder, and I'll tell you what, to sustain a block against Zakani's going to be very tough throughout the day. That time, he just snuffed that out right away. No gain on the play. It'll be 3rd and 7.
3rd down, we'll call it, they're saying 4 on the board. I don't think it's that much. Handoff going to go to the outside. That's going to be Sean Gall. Nowhere to go. In on the stop is going to be Chris Griffin, who came up from his cornerback position. This guy's a load playing a quarterback, or safety rather, 6'4", 200 pounds.
Again, you see an opening that closes down in a hurry. It looked like he might have the corner, but the corner was never there. Rochester closed it up.
I think Jim Roth's going to punt this time. He's going to decide to play a little field position game, and Sean Gall will go back and punt the football away. Not a bad decision, especially with these crosswinds. Fielding punts today is kind of an interesting proposition. Gall, a left footer, gets it to turn over, and it is going to roll, and Southern Columbia just can't stamp it down. Almost got there.
Good idea.
It'll go to the 20-yard line, so they kind of backfired just a hair. Got too much of a friendly roll that time. So here comes Rochester.
Well, Southern Columbia picked up a couple of crucial third down plays to sustain their drive, their first drive of the ball game. But Rochester defense, like you said, Gary, showing great lateral pursuit and excellent speed and pursuit towards the ball. And they just finally stamped it out at about the 35-yard line. So now Rochester will take over possession once again. The score 6-0. Rochester scored on their first possession of the game, a 33-yard touchdown run from Mookie Anderson.
Handoff to the outside. This is going to be Reuben Jackson. He is a handful to about the 26-yard line. You talk about a guy that's coffee quick. He wastes no time getting to the line of scrimmage. This guy has a lot of speed.
Yeah, he is very, very fast. This Rochester team averaged almost 40 points per game in the regular season. Farrell coach Lou Falcone, who's been to the state finals several times, got a couple of rings. He says that Rochester seems to be destined to be state champions. They are that good.
And it's a scary thought to think that Jackson didn't play last week in their Western final win when they had four of the backs, including Mookie Anderson, who stepped ahead 185 yards.
And they won convincingly.
Handoff this time for Kirby Griffin, the sophomore. A marker down at about the 27-yard line. A good pursuit here for Southern Columbia.
See, Anderson looks at the first hole, doesn't go there, tries to find a swing to the outside, and then finally is brought down. Now you see the late flag come in here, piling on there probably. You can see the man jumping in.
Now this may go against Rochester. The offensive unit backing up right there. Makes me think it's either a hold or
personal foul of some kind.
Clip, yeah.
Was a clip.
So that's a huge penalty, and now they're going to get the field position that they
on the offense. Repeat, second down.
You know, we talked about the ground game here for both these teams, Jed and Mark, and the interesting thing about it, you have a team that puts points on the board. They take a long time doing it. You come back down, take a long time, but you end up with nothing in your hands, and now you got to come back and play defense and hope you don't go down 2 scores. It's like kind of 2 gunslingers getting out there trying to match each other, and one's already got points up.
Minute 30 to go in a fast-moving first quarter. 6-0, Rochester with the lead. Facing second and 17. Handoff goes to Jackson again. Second effort gets to the 15. That's about it.
They're stepping again out of the linebacker spot.
You'll say that a lot today, Mark. I mean, number 9 for Southern Columbia is the genuine article, and I mean, he'll put a hat on you.
Yeah, look, the blocking's good at the line of scrimmage, but there's Stephan to shut it down out of his linebacker spot. Like you said, 23 tackles last week, school record. He is an active linebacker. That's what Coach Jim Roth says about Eric Stephan.
He has 84 solos and 47 assists coming into this game.
One of the concerns that's happening with Southern Columbia is not letting this team get to the outside or throw passes, and here we go.
Not a first down, though, to the 29-yard line. Good look by Zach Harvey, the quarterback. It's a gain of about 12.
Yeah, Harvey with the play action. Fake to the back. Found his receiver over the middle, but it is just shy of a first down.
Kurt Brom, senior, in on the reception this time.
Southern Columbia has had a penchant this year to give up the big pass play. If there's one bad book on them, that's been it. And they've done it more times than they'd like to remember during the course of the years. They've given up an average of 18 points, and that's not good when you look back at Southern Columbia over the past 5 years.
Final seconds clicking down here in the opening quarter, and I think that Dan Matzuk, the head coach at Rochester, is content at this particular point in time with taking the field position switch. Kick a little bit with a win that time. Well, pretty good opening act. 6-0, Rochester. You're watching high school football right here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Jed Donahue, joined by Gary Sutton and Mark Shuey. Wonderful to have you wherever you're viewing PCN today throughout the Keystone State, PIAA, in association with PCN. And it's great to be here, as always, in Chocolatetown. Last year, Altoona. This is our 6th year together. The WITF Productions, always in partnership now with the PIAA and PCN. think it's a wonderful opportunity for everybody to see just the best high school football that you're going to find in the country. First quarter numbers, as we look at the lone touchdown in this game, Mookie Anderson, a 36-yard cash and carry.
Yeah, it was a great run by Mookie Anderson. He made a great cut middle of the field and then went the last 15 yards virtually untouched after shaking a potential tackler at about the 15-yard line. So, yeah, excellent run by Mookie Anderson, who was had quite a bit of work in this first quarter. Gary's got the number.
For Rochester, that was part of 82 yards rushing in the first quarter. They also had 14 yards in the air. That was a total of 96 yards. While Southern Columbia only 31 yards in the first quarter, none through the air, a total of 31 here in the first quarter. So far it's been Rochester, and we see the fun here, and Southern Columbia gets it back.
That's P.J. Sargent for Southern Columbia fielding the punt at the 45-yard line. Southern Columbia will start their second possession of the ball game, 6-0. Rochester leads. Early moments of quarter number 2. PIAA Single A Championship football game from the Hershey Park Stadium.
Well, Southern Columbia going on offense for the second time. And again, Mark, if you're throwing the football, the receiver is going to be looking into the sun.
Quarterback Nick Slater is going to be facing the wind this time. He can switch sides, and now the wind is against Southern Columbia in this quarter number 2.
Quick handoff up the middle. Good gain this time. That's going to be Sean Gall again, 6'1", 190-pounder. There'll be a variety of ball carriers with Southern Columbia with this wing tee. That's the one thing both teams, I think, guys, have been impressive when we were scouting them is the fact that they have a variety of options in the running game and the ability to keep fresh legs on the field throughout.
And when you look at Southern Columbia, when you add the quarterback, you've really got 4 running backs back there at all times.
Southern Columbia, 2nd and 4. They've got it to the Rochester 47. Yurkevich, double handoff this time. Sargent trying to get to the outside, slips and falls after a gain of 1. He was being pursued and caught by Chris Griffin, who came up out of a safety position to help out on run support here.
And here you see that great lateral pursuit from the Rochester defense. They're all going one way. They sniff out the ball carrier. They come back the other way. Look at Nick Slater, Southern Columbia quarterback, out there leading the way from the blocking. But, yeah, Rochester defense, excellent pursuit that time to snuff that play out. You mentioned the wing tee, Jed. We're going to have to talk about that a little bit later on. Very difficult offense to run, but Nick Slater runs it very well. State 3 quarterback, Nick Slater.
Slater back, looking, floats it out, and it's incomplete for P.J. Sargent that time. He really didn't get a good look. Good coverage downfield, 4th and 5.
Well, you know, that's one of the things that I was going to say about Nick Slater. He doesn't make many mistakes in Coach Jim Roth's offense. What he does is he just takes care of the football, and that was an excellent example. Nobody was really open, so he threw it over the coverage and just gave the only person on the field who had a chance to catch the ball was his receiver, but he made sure that defenders were not around that football.
Real deft ball. He was a good play action that time. He bought him a couple extra seconds, but nobody open out there.
Sean Gall with the punt. It's a good one, too. This is going to pin Rochester back at about their own 16-yard line near the 15. Sargent is there. 10:23 to go. We're in the second quarter. Rochester on a 36-yard run by Mookie Anderson on their initial possession of the first quarter in the football game with a 6-0 lead, but that missed extra point still looming here. Now Southern Columbia 2 times, but they're getting into 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And there's some of the signage here. The returns to Hershey, the sweetest place on earth, for the first time since 1991. I know they're all excited to have it back here, and also a lot of people in South Central Pennsylvania. Handoff Anderson, not much room this time. Eric Steffen couldn't wrap, and then finally closing the deal looks to be Tyler Weaver for Southern Columbia. Also in on the stop is Nick Fisher, a sophomore. Anderson's slippery, isn't he?
Yeah, he sure is. That time, Tyler Weaver, number 69, just great tackling technique. There's Eric Steffen once again. Steffen makes the initial hit, and then Tyler Weaver comes in to close the door on the tackle. But watch Eric Steffen here. Number 9 puts his head right there at the belt buckle, slows up Anderson just enough to get help from his defensive tackle, Tyler Weaver. Gain of 2 on the play.
Not bad when you've got 2 1,000-yard rushers coming to the game. Anderson with 1,061 and 15 TDs coming into this one.
Handoff goes to Jackson, second man through, and flies forward to about the 22-yard line. tackle for Southern Columbia, Jay Andrus, 5'9", 185-pound senior.
Yeah, and the other 1,000-yard rusher that Gary was talking about is this guy right here, Reuben Jackson, 1,500 yards throughout the year. Like I said, he was banged up early in the year. Back has been kind of cranky all year, and actually injured it in a 61-yard touchdown run against in the WPIAL final, and sat out the Smethport game, but Mookie Anderson came in and ran for over 180 yards in that ball game.
Jackson trying to get to the outside, close to a first down. I think he's got it to about the 26-yard line. He needed the 26.
He might have it by the nose of the ball.
I think he's got it.
Here
Good
you see
kick
Jackson
out here.
once again. Look at that block.
Watch the stretch at the end that gets the first down. There it is. And just stretches it out, and that's where he comes down. It's just about on the 26. Should be a first down.
Kirk Braum, the wide receiver, really with a key block to give him the extra yardage needed. 8:57 to go. So far, we've seen 2 passes in this football game. It has played according to what we heard. It's going to be done on the ground. Holding. That's going to go against Rochester from the spot of the foul. I think they may have hit Kirk Braum. I said good block. Well, maybe it was too good.
It's called hanging on a little long.
I think we're going to see it right here.
There we are.
Yep.
That might be it.
3 penalties so far against Rochester for 28 yards in the ball game.
That creates 3rd and 10, so that takes a first down off the board. Hardy back, looking, throwing down the middle as receiver slips and falls. That's Mr. Griffin down there at about the 25-yard line. Rugg came right out, and that'll be a punting situation. Now, Southern Columbia, with a good kicking game, has tilted the field a little bit, and will get real good position here.
Field position so important, and that's all Columbia has been able to do so far, Southern Columbia, that is. And it's paid off, but now they're going to try to get themselves in a position where they can do something. They've been probing the whole time here in the first and early part of the second quarter. They don't seem to quite know where they're going to go just yet.
You see Dan Matsuk, the head coach at Rochester. Southern Columbia coming in as Sargent. He's a wrestler. He's not afraid of anything to a 48-yard line. Well, that's how coaches get gray hair right there. He just let it just kind of flew in there and took care of biz. Got a yard.
Yeah, it kind of bounced off his face mask, and he finally corralled it just before he was tackled just across midfield. So Southern Columbia will set up shop for their 3rd position of the ball game inside Rochester territory at the 47-yard line. Yeah, you mentioned field position being the key here, especially with these 2 offenses. I mean, neither offense has really the ability to stretch the field and throw downfield long. So field position becomes that much more important.
Pitch goes to Gall, trying to get to the outside, puts his head down to about the 44-yard line. It's a hard gain of about 3. In on the stop again is Chris Griffin. He's been all over the place. Mookie Anderson also in on the stop here.
Yeah, well, it's the whole gang. Greg Ludwig, linebacker, defensive end, coming in there to make the stop too. The lateral pursuit is very good for Rochester here. Look at
Thomas, yeah.
Look at all those blue jerseys following the ball carrier right down the line of scrimmage.
There were 2 5s instead of 1 there. That's Mr. Thomas, who played real well here in the opening half. 2nd and 8, motion man stepping, hand off your Kevich to the outside. He's a tough runner. To about the 41, and then gang tackling. Leading the charge again, it looks like Greg.
The fact that Rochester is not giving up big chunks of yardage on downs 1 or 2, and every 3rd down that's coming up is coming up to a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, where it's a potential throwing down or some kind of option, play action type pass.
7:19 to go in a fast-moving first half. 6-0 Rochester, but Southern Columbia threatening on 3rd and 4. Kevich. Slater going to keep it himself, has the first number, just at the marker at about the 36. It's going to be too close to call. In on the stop is Khalid Mersing, 6'3", 280.
There you see some of the great ball handling on this wing T offense done by the quarterback, Nick Slater. Fakes the handoff to Kevich, then finds the hole, keeps it, takes it upfield for a gain. 3rd and 4 now for Southern Columbia. You know, one of the things to watch as this game goes on is Southern Columbia has had a very difficult schedule. We mentioned that in the pregame. They probably have the toughest single-A schedule in the entire state of Pennsylvania. They played Mount Carmel, Danville, Selinsgrove, Marion Catholic. It is a first down, Southern Columbia. And they've been in some dog fights. They're 12-2. They lost to Selinsgrove in Week 8 and Mount Carmel, a state finalist here, in week number 3. So, I mean, they've been in the dogfights. Meanwhile, Rochester has really not had many close games. Only one that I can think of. That is the WPIAL championship game, which went into overtime. But other than that, average margin of victory, 39 points.
When you go to Three River Stadium and you have to go to the 10-yard line in OT, you grow up in a hurry there. Step in the motion, man. They're going to go Gall, the big fullback. He's still thundering forward to the 30-yard line. That's a bear and a shot. That's about as subtle as. Gain of 7. And it'll create second and short. This is just tough.
You know, you talk about that Rochester team, and outside of that overtime game at Three River Stadium, no one got within 13 points of them all year. So this is a team that's not been used to being in close games outside of that one lone game with rival Monaca.
We were talking this morning, what is it, average margin of victory, 29 points. Here Kevich, the motion man, the wing tee. Here comes Stephan. Nowhere to go. Thomas got him, and then they clean it up with Mookie Anderson. Also, Rick Damon is in on the stop. He's only 5'7", but plays a lot bigger than that. Great pursuit here for Rochester on the front at the 6-minute mark, and it'll create 3rd and long.
Look at Jermaine Thomas there. Defensive end comes in and wrecks that play right away. Just shook his blocker at the line of scrimmage, came in out of his defensive end spot. Look at him shake the intended blocker and hit Stephan right away. Got some help from his mates. Big defensive play by Jermaine Thomas, the 6'3", 235-pound senior.
Well, 3rd down is big. 3rd and 8. Slater back, looking, throwing, and incomplete for Stephan. He just does not look comfortable throwing in that direction. Seemed as though the wind might have held that ball and it floated on him a little bit. I think they'll go on 4th down and 8. That's Jim Roth's final call, but I think they're going to look and go for it here at the 35-yard line. Well, it looks like he's going to punt the ball.
They continue to play field position right now until things become a little more favorable for him, as back in punting position again.
We'll dial into the coaching experiences to why he's playing his cards so close right now. We'll get to that momentarily as Gall gets it to turn over. And it goes out of bounds at the 9. All right, you're down 6-0. You see certain things you like, then other things you're just kind of driving around on the wrong gas. Is that why you just want to try and kind of keep some advantage at this point?
I think there's 2 things you want to be aware of in this game. Number 1 is becoming greedy, and number 2 is becoming desperate. And you're at a point in the game, you're only down 1 score, and you're not even down that when you figure the mixed extra point. You can go out in the lead. You don't want to take a chance right here. You play it kind of close to the vest. You play high percentages right now if you're a coach, and I think that's what Coach Roth is doing here at the moment.
Well, his seniors, who were sophomores, have been there, done that against Farrell a couple of years ago. Farrell scored in the 4th quarter late to win 14-12.
Game shaping up a lot like that Farrell game some years ago.
Handoff going to be Mookie Anderson. He slithers forward to about the 14-yard line. It's a gain of 4, but both defenses now seem to be establishing their tempo, Mark, and we're really seeing it out of the linebacker positions, especially here.
Yeah, you are. Eric Stephan has played an outstanding game in his first half of play. That time, Mookie Anderson found a slight hole, picked up about 2 yards before Southern Columbia shut the door. Yeah, the Southern Columbia defense has really tightened it up after that first series of downs for Rochester, which resulted in the only touchdown of the ball game. Joseph Anderson, 33-yard scamper into the end zone.
Handoff, Anderson has a big haul, but he's going to be caught short of a first down. He's a handful, though, to about the 18-yard line. He needs to get to the 20. Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, it's amazing so far that, you know, one of the things that Southern Columbia was worried about this afternoon was allowing Rochester to get to the outside. Watch this. They're bottled in the whole time. They've not been able to get to the outside one time. We haven't seen anything that looked like a sweep. They've been just kind of testing the middle, and it's paid off.
There's Stephan again. Well, he's not the leading tackler by accident. That has been the storyline so far.
An active linebacker is kind of an understatement to describe Eric Stephan. He really has a nose for the ball.
The motion man is Randy Bacon. Handoff Anderson. He's not going to get there. Southern Columbia crawls all over him at the 16-yard line. Well, gang tackling for Southern Columbia, and leading the way that time, it looked to be Matt Bubness and some friends.
I'll tell you what, number 13, Matt Caskey, just a sophomore, 5'9", 175 pounds, came up out of the outside linebacker spot and wrecked the play. Very nearly caused a turnover because Caskey was right there on top of the pitch.
I don't know if you can see that one more time, but if you look at the pitch back, it was up in the air a long time before they were able to get it, and that gave the defense a chance to react and get over there. Fractions of seconds make such a difference.
Underneath 3 minutes to go. It's a bad 9-iron shot. Takes a Rochester bounce, a big bounce, and it's going to go all the way down to the 40-yard line. That's a heck of a punt. That would be 42 yards in total. And now we're going to see Southern Columbia. This is what great tempo defensively does for you. 3rd and short, and they really got it done on Anderson here.
There's that high pitch, and Caskey, very dangerous. He was in the area, and Caskey was the first guy to kind of...
Jay Andrus was there, too,
Jay
Mark.
Andrus was there. I'll tell you what, the pursuit on both defenses has been outstanding in this first half of play. Head coaches of both teams must be very, very happy with the play of the defense.
Well, no need to panic. 3 timeouts remaining. P.J. Sargent gets it to the outside and gets popped down to the 43-yard line. It's only a gain of 2. Well, all that motion, only 2 yards. Good play again. This is going to be Sean Sakany again. This 300-pounder is active.
There you see Sargent taking the pitch.
I had a mistake. That's Kindleberger there. David Kindleberger, 5'9", 175-pounder. They told us watch this young man today, and they were right.
Yeah, well, he's made some big plays throughout the year for this Rochester club.
Give Sargent 3 as Slater drops. He has yet to complete a pass. Down the middle, pass incomplete. Almost had Bubness. Just a bit underthrown. And again, I think that crosswind, the ball is hanging up a little bit. Or not. That one kind of just died after about 15 yards in the air.
Yeah, Bubness went on a crossing route across the middle, and yeah, the ball, keep in mind, quarterback Nick Slater of Southern Columbia is throwing right into a fairly stiff wind right now. So, yeah, that could hold that ball up a little bit, and looks like it was just a little bit behind Bubness.
Slater has thrown for 967 yards and 7 touchdowns. Does not have the statistical year that he enjoyed as a junior. Slater throws, pass, caught, first down. Into the ball game with his first grab is Jeff Lowry. He's the guy that came in with a play from Jim Roth and had his name on it. Gain of 12 and a Southern Columbia first down to the Rochester 46, and Slater looked tall in the pocket here.
I'll tell you what, this is a nice play by Jeff Lowry, the wide receiver. Tell you why. He has to fight off the sun. He's looking right into the sun. You can see it shining off of his face right there. So he not only has to run his route and be aware of where the sticks are, but he's looking right into the sun, trying to pick that ball out of a very tough sun field there in the far corner.
Southern Columbia with a full allotment of 3 timeouts to play with here. Kovic with the carry, nowhere to move at all. Rochester crawls all over him. They're probably going to have to use one of their timeouts here. Ball at the 46-yard line.
With the quickness of this Rochester defense, I'm sure head coach Jim Roth is telling his Southern Columbia runners, you stop and you're dead. I mean, that time Yurkevich stopped, looked for a hole, but defense of Rochester closed right away with their speed.
Now Coach Roth very patiently waiting to see about his timeout situation. Slater, double handoff. This P.J. Sargent tries to get outside, does at the 40. A marker is down as Sargent goes all the way down to the 19-yard line, but there's holding upfield at about the 45-yard line. That play will come back.
6 men in the box one more time for Rochester. They're really ganging up on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to see a holding call that's going to bring that whole play back upfield again. And if you're Southern Columbia, that's not a happy moment. That's their first penalty of the game.
Well, it comes at a bad time. Minute 33 to go, and it wipes out a long gain by P.J. Sargent.
P.J. Sargent, 6 TDs on the year.
Again, he's looking at a full ride in wrestling. This is a guy, he's listed in the program at 150.
On the offense, repeat second down.
Ouch. Minute 33 left, 45-yard line. It goes all the way back for Southern Columbia. That really killed it off.
Where a sergeant gets demoted to private.
Well, what a sergeant. He was the beneficiary.
No. Wonder why that hole was so wide, right?
Gall is the lone setback. Slater back, looks, throws. Going to go to Gall out in the flat. And Rochester's just all over it. In on the play is Rick Damon.
That almost looked like a broken play. I mean, they had the screen set up, but it looked like the offensive lineman who should have been out there setting a wall for Sean Gall misread the play. Okay, here you see quarterback Slater sucking in the defense, and there's Gall, but where's his help? no offensive linemen around.
Rochester's going to burn a timeout with 1:10 to go. Go ahead, Garrett.
You get the impression that Dan Matsuk maybe talked to Lou Falcone from Phil and got the playbook somewhere on this game. You know, it looks like exactly the same defensive script we saw a couple years ago as we see the great coverage again. No one fooled by the pass play. No one fooled by the screen. And Southern Columbia in a position where they're going to have to kick it away.
You can see some of the crowd here at Hershey Park Stadium. Beautiful venue. The field couldn't be in better shape. I was talking to the coaches prior to the game, and I said, what do you think of the field? They just absolutely loved it. They said this is just perfect as far as playing conditions for a championship football game. The weather's great. A couple of puffy clouds overhead.
This track has seen a lot of action here, PAA-wise. The soccer finals were here in November. They played the District 3 championships, which is Central Pennsylvania football here. They got a bit of a break. They didn't have to, as a result of all the District 3 teams losing in the opening round of the playoffs, they did not have a game last weekend, and it kind of gave them 2 weeks to get this thing in just prime condition. Third and, well, for Southern Columbia, Scranton at this point, 22 yards. Slater's a big play operator, though. Don't rule him out. Hand off to Gall to the outside. They're content to punt. At the 45-yard line goes Gall. He had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And Rochester might be burning another timeout, and they are. We're going to see this again, but the speed of the Rochester defense has been the storyline in the opening half.
Look at that, Kirby Griffin. He's your outside linebacker for Rochester, and he just came flying in like a rocket. He was untouched, granted, but that's pure speed.
That's called I'm faster than you are.
Yes, that's exactly right. Drags Sean Gale down from behind, and it'll be 4th and long for Southern Columbia.
Chad, nothing fancy on that play. It was kind of interesting. Still playing percentages. You're still only down that 6 points. No sense in trying to get greedy. No sense in throwing the big pass and maybe getting an interception. And now you continue to try to play field position.
Well, you see, again, the speed from the outside. This Kirby Griffin in on the stop. Got a fistful of jersey.
He's the younger brother. A couple of Griffin brothers on here. In fact,
a lot of them on this field.
Yeah, Kirby's actually a very good basketball player, and he wanted to, he saw the excitement that was generated around Rochester football last year, and he said, I want to be a part of that.
Well, they both had a chance to see their older brother, Kevin, too, play in the 1992 WPIAL championship team. He said, kind of like that. Let's see if we can follow along.
Ball at the 45-yard line. Sean Gall has punted the ball very well. He's a left footer, and you know, you get a backward eye to the football, and in this one, that could be interesting. But he's got to get it to turn over. That's one of the hardest things. It looks so easy on TV, fielding punts. Gall takes a low line drive. And Rochester had a play on, and it's going to go all the way down to about the 28-yard line. That'll stop the clock with about 48 seconds left here in the opening half. 6-0 Rochester, and all the thunder came on the opening drive. It was capped by Mookie Anderson's 36-yard touchdown run in this single-A final. Great to have you wherever you're watching in Pennsylvania today. The first time ever that all 4 of the PAA state championship games in football have been broadcast statewide live. PAA in association with the Pennsylvania Cable Network and the WITF production crew, as always, here in partnership with the PAA and PCN. Awesome working with these people as every year. Ball at the 29 for Rochester. Handoff, first man through, Kirby Griffin. They're content to go to the locker room on the lead.
Yeah, the pass is not something you're going to see Rochester go to very often. They only average 5 passes a game, so they're going to be very content to walk in as we see the clock tick down to about 30 seconds, and you can see Southern Columbia having none of that test on the middle of the line.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of room on the paper, the pass plays here. Kind of like the Woody Hayes thing.
If you've heard of the West Coast
Two
offense,
things bad can happen if you put it in the air.
That's right.
They can do it, though. I mean, they've got some ability here. Quick hitter this time. This is Schwartzlander. All the way to about the, check that, that's going to be Randy Bacon. Looked like an 8. It's going to go all the way to the 44.
Yeah, Randy Bacon lines up wide right and just takes one step back from the line of scrimmage, hauls in the pass, and takes it upfield. About 15-yard gain for Randy Bacon and Rochester. Rochester with a timeout, 9 seconds to go.
That play came across as kind of an afterthought. They let the clock tick down there instead of conserving it with some timeouts. And then they threw it out there and said, well, let's just give it one try and see if we can maybe get a quick scamper and get one-on-one out there. And now they say, well, let's go for one last play of the half. We have 9 seconds to go, and we may see some little bit of razzle-dazzle right here.
Well, Mr. Bacon, good yards after the catch. There's Mookie Anderson, who's got the only touchdown in this game. But a missed extra point. You never know. They're big.
If you're Southern Columbia right now, those 6 are big. They're out in front of you with the Rochester. They scored in the first possession, and since then it's been a dogfight right there along the line.
Well, you know how this game is. Coaches love to make adjustments at halftime, and I think that's where the field position game that Jim Roth has played in this opening half, that's what he wants to do. He's seen enough, I think, in this opening act to get in the chalkboard here at halftime. Ball at the 45, should be the final play of the first half. And Zach Harvey back, gonna load long, looking for Big Griffin out there at the 10. Oh, that was too close for comfort for the Southern Columbia people. He almost hit that.
Yeah, he did. I'll tell you what, Coach Jim Roth of Southern Columbia has to be very, very nervous at this point. Matt Bubness let his receiver get behind him, and that is what you just don't do in a situation like that. Don't give up the home run. You could stop them at the 1-yard line. Just don't give up the home run. But very nearly, Southern Columbia almost just did that. Gave up the home run ball.
You know, Chris Griffin last year didn't play football. He was playing basketball. And he sat down, he looked at the team, he said, that looks like that's kind of fun winning championships. He's 6'4". That's the kind of guy you want to throw to. Go out there and climb the ladder. Watch for him to throw to him again.
This time, Bubness is stepping back. Now it's a jump ball down there, and Bubness intercepted at the 10. Well, you learned a lesson on that last play. He didn't get his hands torched off. This time he steps in front. All right, we've come to halftime with our score in single A. Rochester 6, Southern Columbia nothing. Not a bad opening act to kick off the weekend. Back in Hershey with more after this.
The PIAA is a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation organized on a membership basis. Membership includes most of the public and many private high schools in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The PIAA develops and enforces rules which are authorized by the member schools to regulate interscholastic athletic competition. The PIAA was formed in 1913 by a group of high school principals to establish uniform rules, eliminate abuses, and place interscholastic athletics in the overall context of secondary education. The purposes of the PIAA are defined in Article 2 of its Constitution. They are to organize, develop, and direct an interscholastic athletic program which will promote, protect, and conserve the health and physical welfare of all participants, to formulate and maintain policies that will safeguard the educational values of interscholastic athletics and cultivate the high ideals of good sportsmanship, and to promote uniformity of standards in all interscholastic athletic competition. The PIAA believes that the student athlete is best served by a system which emphasizes the amateur, educational, and character-building aspects of high school sports, a system which recognizes that athletics is not the driving force, but rather that students are in school primarily to obtain an education. The membership of the PIAA consists of approximately 1,300 schools, divided almost equally between senior high schools and junior high middle schools. Of that membership, approximately 150 are private schools. Nearly 250,000 students participate in interscholastic athletics under the PIAA each year, placing Pennsylvania 7th in the United States for the 1997-98 school year. The 4 major areas in which the PIAA currently operates are the following: establishment and enforcement of rules governing the eligibility of high school athletes to participate in interscholastic athletics. These include rules for academic performance, attendance requirements, transfer students, pre-participation physical evaluations, age, and amateur status. Organizing and operating 27 post-regular season playoffs and championships in 10 girls sports, and 31 post-regular season playoffs and championships in 11 boys sports. Adopting the playing rules for each sport under its jurisdiction, with the exception of bowling, golf, girls lacrosse, rifle, and tennis, All other playing rules adopted by the PIAA are published by the National Federation of State High School Associations, of which the PIAA has been a member since 1925. Registering and training officials to officiate at contests in which the PIAA member schools participate. Nearly 13,000 officials are currently registered with the PIAA. The PIAA's principal source of revenue is the sale of tickets to its playoffs and championships. Gate receipts enable the PIAA to operate without taxpayer financing. The PIAA also provides services to its members on a day-to-day basis through its headquarters in Upper Allen Township, Cumberland County, near Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. The PIAA assists member schools and families by providing the student-athlete with opportunities for achievement.
PIAA Championship Football on PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network, a public service of Pennsylvania Cable Television Company. Live coverage of the 1999 Pennsylvania Farm Show begins Saturday, January 9th on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Watch the championship rodeo, wine judging, horse and pony pulling contests, sheep to shawl competitions, and many other events capturing the flavor of Pennsylvania's premier agricultural showcase. Around-the-clock coverage of the 1999 Pennsylvania Farm Show begins January 9th on PCN. Homework Help on PCN airs throughout the school year. During this live 2-hour interactive program, students in grades 1 through 12 may call in to ask math and science questions. State-certified teachers will actively work through the problem with the students.
So what's 6 times 8? 48. 48. And what is 3 times 10? 30.
Homework Help on PCN airs Sundays at 5 p.m. PCN tours Wendell August Forge. Craftsmen at this Grove City operation have been handcrafting metal giftware since 1923. Sunday night at 8. This week on PA Books, Jim O'Brien, author of We Had 'Em All the Way, the story of Bob Prince, former sportscaster for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Sunday night at 9. PCN profiles Pennsylvania State Treasurer Barbara Hafer, Sunday night at 10. PIAA Championships exclusively on PCN. This is PCN's scheduled coverage of PIAA Championship events for 1999. This game was paid for by PCN and your local cable TV system. The Pennsylvania Press Club is a monthly luncheon series featuring key lawmakers, newsmakers, and policymakers. Luncheons are held on the fourth Monday of the month at the Tuesday Club in Harrisburg and can be seen in their entirety on PCN. Next month's Pennsylvania Press Club luncheon will feature Bill Giles, chairman of the Philadelphia Phillies, Thursday, January 25th at 9 p.m. Check PCN's website for more information and upcoming luncheon guests.
Welcome back to the Hershey Park Stadium on a sun-splashed Friday in December, a couple of weeks before Christmas. Well, Rochester out in front, 6-0 now against Southern Columbia. Let's look at some of the statistics in this opening half on how we arrived at 6-0. Mookie Anderson was the big story in the opening half, had 9 carries for 77 yards. And the one big story is Reuben Jackson has been pretty much shut down so far. But Southern Columbia, first downs, defense-oriented, 4 each. Rushing yards for Rochester. Anderson, of course, with most of that, including a 36-yard touchdown run. They've got 100. Turnovers, only been 1 so far. That was a fumble. They didn't lose it. And they got a first down out of it, and the drive continued. They ended up winning. So, they do have 1 turnover. Penalties, that's not a big deal yet. 3 for 28 yards and only 1 holding call. That one against Southern Columbia, which wiped out a big run by P.J. Sargent. So 6-0. It's anybody's ball game heading into the third quarter here.
Yes, the total yards and the score would indicate it has been a defensive struggle. We're going to look at some of the first half highlights here momentarily. What we're going to see here is the only scorer of the ball game, number 5. Mookie Anderson takes the handoff, finds a hole at the line of scrimmage. Now great cut here at the 15-yard line. Then from there on in, it's clear sailing. Mookie Anderson, a 33-yard score for the only points of the game. But here we go, see some of this defense that both teams have been throwing at each other. Look at the lateral pursuit here on the part of the Rochester defense. There, Yurkevich, he is stopped at the line of scrimmage by a whole host of tacklers. And I'll tell you what, Mr. Yurkevich, Sean Gall, all the Southern Columbia runners. Here we're going to see Eric Steffen. He's going to try to break through, but there's big number 55 for Rochester. That is Jermaine Thomas, defensive end, shutting the door.
Speed of their defense in the opening half has been the story.
That has absolutely been the story.
Neutralize that somewhere. No question.
Okay, we're going to go down to Gary Sutton on the sidelines. Gary's with a guest. Gary?
Thanks a lot, guys. And we're with Elliot Hopkins, Assistant Executive Director of the PIAA. Elliot, the football championships are maybe some of the more visible championships during the weekend, but there's a lot of them that go on during the course of the year for the PIAA.
That is correct, Gary. This is one of the 57 we have in boys and girls sports across the state of Pennsylvania.
Of course, the first time you've come to Hershey in a while. How's it been going so far?
It's like old homecoming. We're very fortunate to be here, and we're very excited about it. The facility is outstanding. The hospitality has been overwhelming, and the play of football has just been great.
Elliot, you look at the field here. We, of course, had the artificial surface in Altoona. You have a little different kind of field here. How's it been holding up so far?
Well, we had an opportunity to test it out during the fall season with 4 soccer championships and 2 football playoff games. And this field is holding up, this stand the test of time.
One of the things that I know you guys are really interested in promoting throughout the state of Pennsylvania is sportsmanship. So far in this game, just absolutely impeccable.
I haven't seen a unnecessary roughness penalty or unsportsmanlike conduct penalty thrown all during the postseason. These kids are doing real well because their coaches are good men and women who are coaching them real well.
There's a lot in the news about the PIAA, but one of the positive things is the fact that you're promoting sports throughout the state of Pennsylvania. What's the vision? What's the objective of the PIAA in terms of sports in Pennsylvania?
Well, we're going to try to increase the sports and increase the opportunity of boys and girls in this great Commonwealth to participate. And our future is very bright right now. We're doing a lot of right things, and we're looking forward to improve on those.
When you set up a championship like this, Elliot, there's so many people involved in it. People think you just come out here and sit in the stands, but there's an awful lot leading up to it. Give us just a little bit of background, if you can, to what goes into putting a championship like this together.
Oh, sure. We start this during the summertime. We have to secure sites, secure vendors, just make sure we have everything in line to provide the best palette for the boys and girls across the state to play. And we're fortunate, again, to be here. And it's a long undertaking, but it all comes to fruition on these weekends.
The first of 4 games this weekend with Rochester and Southern Columbia. Southern Columbia seems like they're here just about every year. So far, you've got a great game going. It's a great start to the weekend.
Yeah, we're really happy. It's a beautiful day today in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I don't think there's anybody left in Rochester or Southern Columbia. Everybody's here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you at Candy Lane right after the last game tonight. How's that sound?
Yeah, save me a Hershey kiss.
You got it. Elliot Hopkins, Assistant Executive Director for the PIAA, and now back upstairs to you guys.
Thanks, Gary, and yeah, I echo the sentiments exactly. A beautiful day here at Hershey. Sun-splashed football field, perfect temperatures, 43 degrees at kickoff, and just a slight breeze. The wind has picked up at times, but it really hasn't been a factor, mainly because of the style of play of these two ball clubs. There you're looking at the Southern Columbia Tigers, and their opponent, Rochester, has the 6-0 lead as we're closing in on our halftime activities, ready for half number 2 of the PIAA State Championships in Single A.
And our host from the Hershey Entertainment and Resort Company, the chairman of the board, J. Bruce McKinney, joining us on Gary's mic right now. Mr. McKinney, you ordered this weather? Spectacular weekend ahead.
We sure did. It's just spectacular. The field looks great. Sun-bathed crowd. What a great day for football. What a great day.
Well, everything that led into this weekend, I know you and your staff, as you say, raised the bar, and I know this is a very important weekend for you. You really want to show what this place can be like for the state and create a bowl-like atmosphere. So far, so good.
You're right. With Chocolate World and with Hershey Park's Candy Lane, with the Hershey Museum and with this spectacular football field and all the other activities that are going on around. Concerts tomorrow in the arena, concerts in the theater tonight. We are trying really to recognize this as a true destination. And the fans coming here hopefully are going to be able to enjoy it. And we are very, very proud to host it. We are extremely proud.
Well, on top of that, no bigger fan than you or I think, of the prep sports scene. I know wrestling and basketball, you're at everything, every game.
Absolutely, Jed. And you know what's interesting to see around today are a number of people from the local high schools with jackets, from Lower Dolphin and Hershey High School, Palmyra. So there's a lot of people here just because it's good football.
It's just a gathering point. I think that's exactly what we're hoping for the next few years here.
Absolutely right, and we're going to do everything we can to keep it here.
All right, well, you got to stop back and visit. That's a pretty good football game. We got to settle Single A right now.
What a great start. What a great game.
J. Bruce McKinney, chairman of the board with the Hershey Entertainment and Resort Company. It's great to see you. Thank you.
Great to have you here, Jed. Keep her going.
All right, Mark Shuey, Jed Donahue, and there's Gary Sutton rejoining. Thank you, sir. And it's great to come to you statewide as you begin to look at the third quarter. The PIAA in association with the Pennsylvania Cable Network and, of course, WITF Productions in partnership with the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association and PCN as we start the second half. Mark, real quick keys here. Southern Columbia kept it close, down 6. It's anybody's game.
I think Southern Columbia has to open it up a little bit. I think the Rochester defense has been so very good against the run. Maybe Coach Jim Roth has to start throwing on non-obvious passing situations, maybe a first down or second down on rather than the third long passing attempt.
Well, Chris Griffin, long kickoff. This is P.J. Sargent. He's a home run hitter if you can get him a seam to the 20 in Rochester. Speed, guile, toughness to the 22. That has been the storyline so far, Gary, in any situation. Say you are out-quicked for the most part. Say Sargent here, but the trend here, Rochester just looks quicker. How do you deal?
We think of speed as only on the offense. Look at the speed here defensively. It just closes everything down in a hurry. How do you deal with it? You got to throw the ball. I think Mark had it right on. Throw the ball a little bit. They've had 6 in the box all afternoon. They're daring Southern Columbia to be able to pass.
Right now they're going to Eric Steffen. He tries to get to the outside, and again the speed strings him out after a gain of only 1. In on the play again is Rick Damon. He's had a whale of a football game, only 5'7", but this guy really gets to the table.
Yeah, Steffen gets the ball, but his lead blocker, Chad Rodarmel, is out there, but and he just gets pushed back. He's taking on actually 3 tacklers, and they just fight through Rodarmel and make the stop.
And David Kindleberger again, we mentioned in the first half, he had the big interception in overtime against Monaca in the WPIL Single A final that preserved victory. Really the only close call that Rochester has had all year long. Eric Steffen, you hear him with a cadence, opening minute of the third quarter. Handoff, Sean Gall, the fullback, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, into the arms of 300-pound Sean Zaccani.
This start at the 24-yard line, by the way, this afternoon represents the worst starting position so far for Southern Columbia, and they're going nowhere in a hurry. As you can see, them stacked up here on the line of scrimmage one more time.
Now, here's what I was talking about. It's 3rd and 8, and this is obviously a passing situation. I think Southern Columbia has got to find a way to neutralize the speed of that defense and start passing on non-obvious pass-down situations.
3rd and 8. Well, 3rd and long, this is exactly where Dan Matzuk, the head coach of Rochester, likes to see Southern Columbia. Down the middle, almost intercepted rather. And The official was run over by Kindleberger at about the 43-yard line, right in front of the Rochester bench. We're going to get a replay. We want to get a camera on that down there. We have an injured official.
What makes this situation even worse is the fact that you have to throw into the wind this quarter if you're Southern Columbia. The wind blowing definitely straight down the field now from our left to right. And that's a problem for Southern Columbia. And not only was that a predictable down to throw on, you're also throwing into a very, very stiff wind.
Yeah, there's the official who was run over. I was looking at that toward the tail end, and it was Kindleberger was covering the wide receiver on the play.
Bubness was the wide receiver.
Right, and they just got caught in the wash down there at about the 43-yard line.
Yeah, the official's sitting up now. He's chatting a little bit, smiling, probably a little bit more embarrassed than anything else. You know, if you're official, but now you got to sit there and save some face, Dave. Here we go. To help up, took one for the team.
Well, again, these officials, the creme de la creme, if you will, from around the state, each district, sending their top guys into this tournament for the entire weekend. Coming up later tonight here on PCN, we'll have the AAA championship.
Okay, stop the kicker, please.
We might mention, too, the officials have done just a great job so far this afternoon from the coin toss on.
Yeah, we'll have Allentown Central Catholic and Moon out of the WPIL in District 7. Gall, he's a left footer, gets it to turn over. Pretty good kick. Wind's going to hold it up. And again, that wind is really tough to gauge. Griffin almost fumbled, gets a lucky bounce and recovers at his own 43. We thought that could be a storyline today, and that ball hanging, and it's a left foot kick and a backward eye.
Plus, you're looking right dead into that sun, too, as Mark mentioned earlier. So the wind and the sun combination, and nature almost wins.
Yeah, we were watching the punt practice in warm-ups, and the punt return guys were having a heck of a time trying to corral that ball at the very last instance, which you saw with Griffin there. It just kind of shifted to the right and went right through his hands.
That punt 29 yards as Rochester gets the ball back.
Hand off Mookie Anderson. He pounces outside, but he's corralled after a gain of maybe a yard. Jay Andrus, senior, 5'9", 185-pounder in there. Back to...
Want to see some short tackling? Watch Jay Andrus right here. Look at Anderson. Little hole, and now watch. Right around the legs. Boom. Down.
That's some great ball handling, too, by the quarterback, Zach Harvey.
Well, he's a senior, both veteran quarterbacks.
Other angle, grabbing him from behind and pulling him right down. Jay Andrus with a beautiful tackle.
He's to the corner and possible damage if Andrus is not there around the shoelaces. Gain of a yard. Initial possession of the second half. Handoff goes to Reuben Jackson, and he battles forward towards midfield to about the Southern Columbia 49 before he's pounded back.
You know, one thing we haven't seen at all this afternoon so far is any kind of sweep to the outside. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that Southern Columbia is really doing a good job of hemming every running play to the inside, not letting Rochester move it all to the corners.
Defensive tackle Roy Kingston right here, number 65, shakes off his block, really slows down Jackson. Gets some help from his mate.
Again. He's got to be in the 10-tackle range by now, guys. The ball is at the 49, 3rd and 5 for Rochester. Got about 9:04 and counting to go here in the third quarter of play. Rochester on the lead. Handoff Bacon. Flag goes down. Looks like it might be a hold against Rochester. We'll wait for the official call down on the field, but that's going to come back.
Yeah, look who's in the bottom of that pile once again, number 9, the linebacker, Eric Steffen. What an active linebacker he is. Here you're going to see it. Jackson takes the handoff, and here comes Steffen, number 9, meets him helmet to helmet. Just wraps his arm around the legs.
There's holding against Rochester there.
Right here, if you look on the right side, you can see the hold with number 42 right there in blue, and that's the hold that's going to cost them the penalty as they're going to walk it back.
Daryl Damon, who's been battling a knee injury since week number 3. One of 4 Rochester players, 3 of which are still playing. With everything from posterior cruciate to medial collateral. It's amazing how technically versed we are now in knee injuries. It's incredible what they can do with them now as far as sports medicine conversation you and I have had over the years, Gary. Punt here for Rochester. This is kind of a rarity. I think it's their first punt of the day, or second one rather. That's going to take a Rochester bounce. This is a fabulous punt at the 1-yard line. Oh my goodness, that is a super punt. Mookie Anderson pins them all the way back at the 1-yard line.
And with the style of these two offenses, field position means so much. Now Southern Columbia, with the back to their goal line, will start off at the 1-yard line.
47-yard punt, and those are the ones you dream about if you're the special teams coach, as it lands right on the 1-yard line. And field position is so important in this game.
White captain. Okay, we're going to loose ball foul. We're going to go back 15 and penalize, and it'll still be...
Oh, another critical penalty on
Just like
Rochester.
a turnover here, because it's going to take them off the one. You hear the conversation on the field. It's all going to go back. 8:33 to go. One thing, Gary, you took Columbia High School to a basketball championship in 1987. One thing you always preach in the state championship environment, always be alert mentally, right?
Oh, you have to be alert, and I think you have to be focused throughout the game.
Face mask on the kicking team. Repeat, fourth down.
Ouch.
It's a loose ball foul, believe it or not. Almost sounds like a basketball play, but a loose ball foul, and what it does, it costs 15 yards, and now, if you're Rochester, things change a little bit. You're going to have to punt it again, but this time it's going to have to be a really good punt to get it down to the 1-yard line. But, Jed, you mentioned about being focused and kind of being on it mentally the whole game. That's exactly right, and that goes for the coach, too. You just don't ever want to overreact because you might only get one chance to ever get here in your whole life.
That's going to mean going to punt all the way back at about the 25. That's a low-line drive. Sargent look to have a seam. Ball comes out, and Rochester's on it at the 41-yard line. Oh, that's critical right there. One turnover leads to another, and Rochester just moves up. That's a pretty good hit here, Mark.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good hit. Good defensive play. That time, that was Randy Bacon. Stuck his helmet right there on the ball, popped it out. Sargent had that thing tucked away. That was a textbook tuck away by Sargent. Fielded it nicely, had a hole, but Bacon just came up, put his helmet right on the ball, and knocked that loose. Big turnover.
Just enough ball there to kind of get that head in there and pop it loose.
Yeah.
And you actually gained 4 yards on the play if you're Rochester, so now you're starting from the 42-yard line, but this time it's real dangerous if you're Southern Columbia. Well, Zach Harvey takes over a quarterback again. Back, looks down the middle, has a man wide open and overthrew him. Looked to be Brad Lilja.
What set that up was great play action, fake handoff, step back, bought himself an extra second. And look at this. Wide open, you dream about this, and just overthrew his receiver by about a yard.
Yeah, Coach's son, that was my mistake. It's Brandon Matsuk in there.
Matsuk just
overshot him.
Straight fly down the field, got behind the Southern Columbia defense. And we mentioned earlier, the first half of play, that Southern Columbia has been burned by the big pass play throughout the year. And that time almost got burned again, as Matsuk certainly got behind the defense on a straight fly pattern. The ball was simply overthrown.
Well, Rochester took a shot at him. Quick handoff, second man through. I believe that's Darrell Damon, the fullback, on a quick hitter up to the 35-yard line.
If you're going to use the pass, this is the quarter user. You've got the wind behind you, but they eschew the pass this time and dive straight over the right tackle, down inside the 40-yard line to 36. And again, going back to their game plan, pound it, pound it, pound it. If you're Rochester, you want to keep that defense on the field as long as you can for Southern Columbia and start to get a little fatigue factor in there.
Well, that's been the key to their whole season, Gary. They just play keep away from you. Southern Columbia's been on the field on offense once this half. Damon again, battling. Anderson on the stop initially, and then they get the wash to bring him down at about the 35. No gain. It'll be fourth down. Again, you'll see good pursuit here. The down people for Southern Columbia getting the job done today.
Yeah, a good pursuit. Middle's clogged up very nicely by the interior line of Southern Columbia, and they stop the fullback. Virtually no gain. It'll bring up fourth down.
4th and 4 exactly at about the 34. They'll need about the 30 and a half.
This would seem like a wonderful place for a fake right now where you really wouldn't get hurt. You have the ball down there, 36. Don't be surprised to see a fake here.
Novich into punt. He'll try. He's already gotten one to the 1-yard line. This time gets it out at about the 11 is where they're going to mark it. So they're going to play some field position here, make it officially the 12-yard line. So it's 6:50 to go in the third quarter. Rochester, thanks to a 36-yard run by Mookie Anderson in the opening drive in the opening quarter, is still on the lead. And Southern Columbia now trying to mount a threat on offenses. You look at Jim Roth.
Hey, you talked about the fake, Gary, and that's a very good point. Southern Columbia, they were burned by a fake field goal earlier in the year against Hughesville. They learned their lesson. And Montgomery, later on in the playoffs, attempted a fake field goal in the District 4 championship game. Southern Columbia's defense snuffed it out. Southern Columbia now, they practice that all the time in practice.
Hand off Yurkevich trying to get to the outside. The speed of the defense, there's nothing there in the corners.
If you're going to try to battle laterally with this Rochester team, you're going to lose. They're quicker right now than Southern Columbia is to the outside. Watch this. Rochester just continues to fill in. Watch the blue uniforms filling in the whole way along, and there's nowhere to go.
reason you can do that, Mark, is the cornerbacks and their safeties have just been sensational on run support today.
Well, that's right. They know that they're probably not going to get any action through the air, so they can just come up to the line of scrimmage, cheat up, and support the line of the linebacker.
Hand off Sargent. Boom. Big hole to about the 19-yard line. That's a burst of about 5 or 6, short of a first down, about 3 or 4 to go on third down.
Here's where they'll live if they're going to win this afternoon. Southern Columbia up the middle. You can see the dive right through the middle. Nice play that time. The lateral movement out there. They're not going to get to the outside, but diving north and south, you might see it.
This is a nice run by Sargent. Look at him just slow up just ever so slightly. Picked his hole, waited for it to open up, and just picked up some positive yardage. Nice run by P.J. Sargent.
They'll get the win to start the fourth quarter. Gall close to a first down. I don't think he got there. It's at about the 21, but they're going to measure. Hit and drop by Chris Griffin. This is close.
This last little surge might have gotten him the first down. It is very close. Watch this. Bang right there. Fights off the tackle and dives one more time, and it may have gotten him the first down.
Yeah, a couple of good lead blocks out there. Got Matt Yankowski, a 5'9", 185-pound senior. He's their tight end. He laid a lick on the defensive end, and it's very, very close.
I'm going to say he's short here by pretty much half a football. They'll stretch it out, and he is short.
Good eyes.
I'm going to use the chain.
I've got help. I'm holding up binoculars.
It's a whole football.
An entire football. It's a big punt, though, because they're going to have to go against the wind. It's Southern Columbia will have the wind in the fourth quarter. There's Jim Roth to the right of your screen right there. He doesn't need a jacket.
Well, after the first drive of the game, where Rochester scored, we just had simply a field position battle here. And frankly, Rochester has controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball with their defensive and offensive line.
Little chess match right now, but they've got a couple of gunslingers dropping deep. Randy Bacon and also Chris Griffin. Sean Gall has had a good day punting the football, a left footer. If he can get it to turn over, anything goes. This is a low line drive that is going to be covered by Southern Columbia at the 39-yard line. Superb field position now for Rochester at the Southern Columbia 39, 1st and 10. They have 5:15 left. We're in the third quarter. Again, it's great to have you wherever you are in Pennsylvania as the PIAA in association with PCN, welcoming all of our viewers on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, WITF Productions, in partnership now with the PIAA and PCN. Later tonight at 7, join us for the AAA Championship. Allentown Central Catholic against defensive-minded Moon has pitched 9 shutouts so far this season. Then 2 more games tomorrow. Handoff Anderson flies into the line of scrimmage for a gain of 2 or 3 yards, and that's about it. Marco Savale in on the stop, and again, the middle and the interior line for Southern Columbia has played superbly today.
Yeah, look at him stacking it up, and Anderson really had nowhere to go. The game of field position so very important in this battle here for the single-A title. Southern Columbia seemed to have the advantage in the first half of play, at least in the latter part of the first half. And now it's been all Rochester in the second half of play as far as field position goes.
Zach Harvey, the quarterback. Handoff Anderson, big hole into the secondary, and a first down all the way down to the Southern Columbia 26-yard line. A gain of 12.
I think there was a flag thrown at the tail end of that play.
It was a late hit. Watch this. Here goes Anderson diving through. Now he's going to go down. You're going to see a late hit come in right here.
Yeah, Southern Columbia, and that's going to be 15 more at the
better
end of the
angle
play.
here to see it.
Yeah, after
Anderson coming down. Now watch a good tackle. Now the late hit coming right there.
Right here. And it wasn't so much the lateness of the hit, but he came up around the head with his elbows, I believe. That's what the officials saw, and rightfully threw the flag.
Dead ball. Personal foul on the defense.
You get the impression right now, Chad, that this is the defining moment of the game. If Southern Columbia has a chance, they're going to have to hold right here. Getting down 13, 14 points at this point in the game, you just can't think that it bodes anything but poor for Southern Columbia and great for Rochester.
There's Tyler Weaver. He was in on the play, but I think it was Sargent coming over the top that led to the penalty. 1st and 10 at the 13. Anderson has the corner inside the 10. Now slithers forward another marker down as he gets to the 6-yard line. This might be a hold this trip. This might come back the other way.
Take a look right here on the corner. You're going to see the hold. I think he's going to call it right there again on 42. We'll see.
It is a hold against Rochester.
That's what got Anderson to the outside. You saw the man kind of seal in from the far sideline, and that was really where the hold was called.
Well, another crucial penalty against Rochester here in the second half. The one, it didn't turn out to really burn them. They excellent punt, pinned Southern Columbia down on their own 1-yard line, but that was called back due to a 15-yard foul. This time a hold pushes them back outside the 20-yard line. So, yeah, it's a couple of tough, crucial penalties here late third quarter.
So it'll be 1st and 16 now at the 19.
Coaches aren't happy on the Rochester sidelines. They want a little bit more discipline out of their team.
There's what you need to know on the screen, the score and the time. And a back has a man, caught, touchdown! Brandon Matsuk is in for the score. And it's now 12-0, Rochester. The coach's son, big-time player.
18-yard touchdown pass. Quarterback finds Matsuk through the middle, shook off a tackle right there at the 5, stretched into the end zone for the touchdown. Second score of the ball game for Rochester.
And I think everybody was caught off guard there for Southern Columbia. The book again all year has been you can beat them with a big pass play. That wasn't exactly a big pass play in terms of yards, but it was big in terms of moment right now. We have a timeout on the field.
They're going to go for 2 at a 12-0 lead. 3:56 to go in the third quarter, and Rochester will talk things over. Well, they almost got Matsuk for the big play earlier in this quarter, and Harvey overthrew him. Not this trip. He was wide open over the middle. This is a great play for the touchdown.
Yeah, it was a nice drop back by the quarterback, Harvey. Harvey takes his time.
Watch the slant.
Real quick drop, yeah.
Great slant and get the inside position there, which you got, and then dives for the goal line, and he's in for the touchdown.
It's a nice call at that position in the field.
Well, they're saying, you know, that you could look and say the knees might have been down at the 1, but, oh, well.
Well, the other thing there, too, you got a 6'1" receiver back there who's got some good size, can stretch it out. And Matsuk got the ball, got the slant to the inside, in for another score. Now you have a 12-0 game. You're down 2 scores if you're Southern Columbia, and only 3:56 left in the third quarter. If you're Rochester, now you're getting back to a place where you can continue to ride that clock when you get back on offense and really wear Southern Columbia down and take this game home.
Okay, point after, White.
Now they're going for 2 right now with 3:56 to go. We are live in Hershey in the single-A championship game. Handoff goes to Anderson, trying to get to the corner. He didn't get there. P.J. Sargent pulls the rug out at about the 1.5-yard line. Well, he's a wrestler, and he went low that time, and the fireman's carry preserves 2 points.
Yeah, watch P.J. Sargent come out of his safety spot. Right there, just shy of the goal line. Stops Mookie Anderson in his tracks. Great defensive play by P.J. Anderson. P.J. Sargent, rather, on Anderson.
He looks like he's got it, and then probably the best tackle of the game so far. Reminiscent of a few years back when Brandon Short took Aaron Harris down at the goal line, came out of nowhere to nail him.
That was a classic hit that's still reverberating around Altoona, I believe.
Might be the greatest hit I think I ever saw, because Short was nowhere to be seen and stood Harris up on the goal line, ended up taking it home from McKeesport.
Well, Rochester making their second trip to a state championship environment. Lost back in 1991 here in Hershey to Schuylkill Haven 28-18.
Kind of interesting that the 4 teams that were here in 1991 in the Final Four were the same 4 teams that were here again this year. Smethport, Strathaven, and these 2 clubs we're watching here today were all 4 in the semifinals and finals in 1991.
In addition, prior to the season, preseason Harrisburg Patriot News poll, these guys were right up there. I mean, Southern Columbia ranked number 2. Rochester was ranked number 8. So, I mean, these guys had high expectations coming into this season, and here they are vying for a state title at the Hershey Park Stadium.
Mark Yurkevich and P.J. Sargent are deep. They'd love to hit something big. Yurkevich gets into the seam and gets to about the 30-yard line. Well, for Southern Columbia, they've got to get the pot boiling here on offense.
You talk about defining moments. This is it for Southern Columbia. They have got to put some kind of points on the board this possession. As you see Yurkevich getting forward, trying to find something to the inside, and just nothing there as Rochester all over them one more time.
You know what I do if I'm head coach Jim Roth of Southern Columbia? I take a page out of the Rochester playbook, and I throw on first down right here.
Ball at the 30-yard line. Well, they've got to start doing something vertical in the air quickly. because Rochester's speed defensively has just been overwhelming so far to the wing team. Handoff, second man through, Eric Stephanie slides forward. Pretty good gain on first down to the 35-yard line. That was a pretty good push there by their offensive line.
Well, if you notice the Rochester defense on this particular series of downs, they're not playing 6 in the box. Look at the open spaces right there. There you see Eric Steffen running to the daylight and picks up 5 on the play. But now they are dropping back into pass coverage, so it may be a little bit too late to go to your vertical passing game.
Getting right in behind Mark Ostavalla that time in the run.
Brilliant. Jim Catapio with us here, the head coach at Wilson High School, who knows Jim Roth very well. Jim, what are you seeing here? What do they got to do to get back into this football game? It's 12-0 right now. We need that fourth mic up, guys, in the truck here. Can you get that for me? There we go. Now you're in.
It's obvious they need a big play, but I tell you, Jed, here right now, what's happening is Rochester has Southern Columbia in too many predictable down situations. And when you're down 12-0, you've got to be able to go play action and do some things on first down when everything is in tight. When it's 3rd and long, everybody knows what you're going to do, and they're not noted for the passing game. So Southern Columbia right now is playing right into the hands of Rochester with their offensive game plan.
Coach, you're a guy who's thrown the ball a lot in your lifetime with your teams, and you're going into a win right now. It kind of compounds the situation even more.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it makes it a lot difficult. You can't tell up here from the press box, but down on the field, throwing into that wind is very difficult. That's why I'm very surprised they haven't done any play-action bootlegs on first down. There it is. That was the first time they ran what they called a waggle pass and a big completion for Southern Columbia.
To Matt Bubness he's close to a first down, up to about the 40-yard line. It's right on the stick. We're going to see it again.
There's the play-action pass, the fake handoff. Now set up, buy yourself an extra second or two. Plenty of time to throw. Pretty good pass to that wind downfield, Coach.
Well, you know, the wing T offense, the waggle is their #1 pass play, and that's the first time that I've seen that play all day long, and hopefully they'll continue it.
Now it's 3rd and 1. Jim, hang around here for a few minutes. 2:25 left in the 3rd quarter. Well, Rochester stacking that line. Big Sean Gull, first down, Southern Columbia. Well, this is a big time, Jim, in this game. Do you feel it's a moment of truth from a coach's standpoint if you're Jim Roth right now?
Well, I agree with you. You know, when you get to the 4th quarter and you're down 12-0, you're down 2 scores, and the kind of offense that Southern Columbia runs, it's obvious here today that Rochester is so strong and so quick defensively that they're not going to get the big plays on the ground. So this drive right now, they need to score some points.
That's the first down this half for Southern Columbia.
Ball at the 43. Wingback reverse. P.J. Sargent, again, that speed. It is overwhelming. What do you do as a coach when you see the speed advantage so defined for Rochester right now?
Well, that's where the misdirection has to come in. You take advantage of someone's speed and agility, and you go more misdirection and play action, bootlegs to the wide side of the field. Right now, again, Southern Columbia, again, you can see the pursuit. There he is. He gets to the line of scrimmage. They're running the sweep. And Rochester's too quick on the line of scrimmage, and they're shutting it down.
There's your time remaining. It's only the 3rd quarter. There's still time. 2nd and 10. The ball at the 43. Slater under center right now. Motion man of Sargent. Now double back. Here's Slater. Loading long and looking. Has a man caught. First down. It is going to be Jeff Lowry with his 2nd catch of the day, the 35. Well, just about everybody touched it there.
That's real misdirection, Coach.
Well, that was a little razzle-dazzle here right now, and that was a great play. The ball hung up in the air. You'll see here right now, and the receiver comes back and makes a great play on it.
See, in basketball, we call that the 3-man weave right there. That's a beautiful call.
Hey, you can't go wrong. Put it up in the air and let two go. When you got a one-on-one situation, you usually come ahead like that.
I was ready to hear Sweet Georgia Brown, the Globetrotters, warm up, but it works nonetheless to the 35. Kevin, not much room there. The big guy, Sean Zucchini, a 300-pounder, as we go to a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. Well, obviously, you two are somewhat in touch. Jim was on your staff in the Big 33. What makes him so successful at Southern Columbia? What do you like about his system so much?
Well, being with Jim for an entire week, he's a very disciplined man. You can tell.
He's no nonsense, I know that.
He is very intense. He didn't laugh and joke until the end of the week of Big 33 week, so I can imagine what he's like during game week preparation.
Slater, he can get out on the break. Big hole, 25-20 to the 19-yard line. Into Southern Columbia, first down, a gain of 15.
Coach, how important is it to have a veteran quarterback like a Nick Slater run your wing T offense. I mean, you can't make mistakes with the ball. You really have to take care of it, and this kid's a tremendous athlete.
Well, this play here, they ran a number of times today. That was the belly keep by the quarterback. Anytime in any offense you can get a quarterback coming back for 3 years, you know you're ahead of the game, and we all try to get it, but we're not all successful with it.
Southern Columbia fans on their feet. Threatening inside, hand off. Here Kevin tries to get to the outside, still battling, nothing there. It's a blue wall led by Rochester's pursuit on defense. First man on the scene looked to be Darrell Damon, also Jermaine Thomas, 6'3", 235. He's been all over the place today. End of the third quarter, 12-0. And Southern Columbia facing 2nd and 10 at the 18-yard line. Real quick, Jim, what do you think they got to do? Obviously, they got to come away with something here and get the full 7 if they can.
Well, you know, they're going to come with a play-action pass here on 2nd down. I think that if you were a betting man, that's what we're going to see. If they can get into the end zone right now, the momentum all shifts. It now goes in Southern Columbia's favor, and we're going to see one heck of a game in the 4th quarter.
There's the touchdown. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and here's the touchdown. The coach's kid, Brandon Matzler, took it in from 18 yards. Second score of the game for Rochester. Rochester 12 minutes away from a single-A title here in the state of Pennsylvania with a 12-0 lead over Southern Columbia.
You got to remember, too, that we're coming to the win side on the 4th quarter here, too, for Southern Columbia. The wind will be with them for this quarter, so you got the ball inside the 20 to about the 19, and a play-action pass for the win might not be a bad recipe.
TOAA in association with PCN welcoming you along the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Jed Donahue, Mark Shuey, and Gary Sutton. We're also joined by Jim Catafio momentarily right now. Later tonight, live here on PCN, we'll have the AAA final. Allentown Central Catholic and Moon. You've seen ACC up close. Moon, you've talked to some people as well. 9 shutouts this year.
Interesting ball game. I've seen Allentown play all of their playoff games. Very dominating running game. But I've also heard from the University of Pittsburgh assistant football coach yesterday that Moon plays defense like someone you've never seen before. So we're going to really see a heck of a football game tonight because Allentown, you know, is a run football team, and we got a great defensive team. So who knows, we might see another game like we're seeing here this afternoon.
Got a team in Moon that's hung up 9 shutouts this year and given up only 43 points, so not a bad club coming in defensively.
Number 1 for points allowed defensively in the entire state of Pennsylvania. That'll be something to see.
12-0. Jim will be with us through this possession for Southern Columbia. Step into motion, man. It's going to be Gall running, got positive yardage to about the 14-yard line. It's a gain of 4. It'll create 3rd and 6. It's a tough call to make down in here, as we'll see it again, Mark.
Well, that forces a critical 3rd down situation. As you see, the defensive pursuit from Rochester, once again, they just fought through their blockers. They just stretch out laterally so very well and make the tackle on Sean Gall. And this is a big 3rd down play. 3rd and 6 for Southern Columbia. Tigers trailing 12-0 4th quarter.
3rd and 6. The motion man is Stephen Slater back. Handoff to the outside. Nowhere to go. It's dropped for a big loss. Sean Conahan, sophomore. And the speed of Rochester on defense has come up with the biggest play here.
Well, this is outside linebacker, actually Kirby Griffith, and he comes up with a big play. Came just shooting in from his outside linebacker spot.
One of the things you recall 3 years ago when we saw Farrell play this team, they never got fooled by this kind of misdirection. You see the same thing here. The linebacker stays on, dives up the middle, and makes a big play here on Southern Columbia. Now you're at a moment of truth for Southern Columbia. 4th down and 10.
What do you got under the hood, Jim?
Well, I mean, it's 4th down. We obviously know the ball's going to be thrown. There's the waggle, and here's a screen pass. No,
Slater into the end zone, tipped and incomplete on 4th down. And with 10:37 to go, Rochester is held.
Well, the key is right now, Jed, Rochester has the ball back, but right here can be the difference. You see the pass here right now. He tried to force it in there to try to make something happen, but it didn't.
Good double coverage back there on the play as well. And now you're in a position where you got to get the ball back quickly. Time's on the side of Rochester.
And once again, the speed of the outside linebacker, Kirby Griffin, came in untouched and really closed that pocket in on the quarterback, Nick Slater. So kind of hurried that throw, didn't let his receiver kind of break off and try to get away from the coverage. So, yeah, excellent defense by Rochester here in this ball game.
35. Handoff, Mookie Anderson to the outside. Eric Steffen, the first man there. Jim, it's great to see you. Stop back. We'll have you back for the AAA later.
Well, we're going to be around the entire weekend. Thank you, Jed.
Jim Catapio, head coach at Wilson. As we look at this again, Rochester beginning to establish some things here with Mookie Anderson.
Second down. Second and about 8.
I'll tell you one thing that's going to happen right now, Jed, is this offense is going to become the defense, basically, for Rochester, because when they have it, the other team doesn't. That's how simple the game gets right now. If you can get 4 or 5 first downs, you can pretty much take this game out of reach.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's what the Rams want to do right now. They just want to work the clock, give Anderson and the trio some carries.
Going into the line is Reuben Jackson.
Easy up.
Guarantee you one thing, you're not going to see the ball go in the air here. It's going into the wind, and you've got a 12-point lead, and coach is saying, as long as we got the lead, we could win this game.
You know, size-wise, these two teams match up pretty well, offensively and defensively along the line of scrimmage. And that time, basically a stalemate. The Southern Columbia interior line has done a remarkable job today. They really have stuffed the inside. It's been around the corners that Rochester's done most of their damage.
You've got to be impressed with the gang tackling this afternoon at Southern Columbia. We've seen some great individual tackles by Rochester, great gang tackling by Southern Columbia.
Handoff Anderson, little back reverse this time. He's close to a first down. A little bit short to the 28-yard line. A gain of 6. They needed the full 7, and they're going to have to punt the football away.
Anderson has 15 carries now for 103 yards. He dances through here one more time, but not going to get the first down, it doesn't appear.
Well, Reuben Jackson totaled 1,500 yards throughout the regular season. Hasn't seen a whole lot of action. He's had a cranky back throughout the year. And he's taking treatments, missed the Smethport game, the Western final, completely. And coach has said he's ready to go. Not 100%, but ready to go. So obviously less than 100%, but Mookie Anderson certainly has picked up the ball and carried it for Rochester today.
You get the impression the last 2 weeks that Anderson has kind of become their go-to guy. I mean, he's really kind of changed the perception of this team from a team that was being led by Big Reuben, right, to now it's being led by Little Mookie.
Yeah, well, you've got a senior, though, you can dial in. I think the fresh legs factor is something that's huge in this aspect as well.
Well, the other thing, too, when you have 4 guys that can average 5.5 yards a carry, you can pretty much plug them into this offense and lives and dies on the run.
Southern Columbia's got to do something with the football here. They're going to get great field position. Bounce, well, takes a Rochester roll to about the 44-yard line, and that's where Southern Columbia is going to take it over now, 1st and 10. And really, you know, you talk moment of truth, you talk about where it's won or lost. Well, the poker game has come down to this moment in time for Southern Columbia. They need 2 scores, and they got to have something here.
Yeah, not only do you have to score right now, but you have to score quickly. You only have 8:43 left of the game. You're down 2 scores. You're going to have to air it out, and everybody in the place knows it.
8:43 to go. We are in the 4th quarter of play. It is 12-0 Rochester as Southern Columbia's Nick Slater comes under center. They got down to the 18-yard line only to stall out in their last drive. Handoff goal, I don't think so. And on the stop, hey, same old, Jermaine Thomas. He has been sensational today for the Rams of Rochester. Number 55 has been the man.
Yeah, you're going to see Jermaine Thomas right here fight off the block out of his defensive end spot and just laid a lick on Sean Gall. You heard that pop way up here in the booth. Jermaine Thomas has had an excellent game today. 6'3", 235-pound senior for Rochester.
Well, you know, you count the guys, too, up there. There's 6 in the box. Again, they're daring to throw the ball. And they've got single coverage on the outside. You're going to see a pass here.
Tip.
Excellent job, again, by Rochester that time of stepping in and making the play.
I think that was Caleb Mersing. Caleb Mersing. 6'3", 280 pounds. I believe he gets his big mitt in the air and knocks his
ball
pass
right
down.
there. It is.
And
great job. Mersing getting the hand up. Good call, Mark. One more time. He
Caleb
looks this
Mersing.
way, looks back. He wants to catch his receiver on the inside. There's the paw from Mersing.
He's 285 pounds. He got up in the air a little bit.
I'll tell you what, big guy. Can move quickly. There you go.
Got 8:05 as Slater drops back, throws, pass caught, first down to the 41-yard line. He really got a good rip at it there.
An unsportsmanlike late hit there, and they're going to get 15 tacked onto this.
Ryan Breach in on the catch.
I'll tell you what, you don't want to add any wood to the Southern Columbia fire right now. Southern Columbia is just trying to get back into this ball game. They pick up an essential first down, and then there's a late hit right after the catch is made.
Pretty throw. Now watch, here comes a late hit from behind. Bang, you're going to see it. 1,
right
2,
there.
push.
And that's an extra 15 yards. Like I said, you don't want to throw any wood on this Southern Columbia Fire. It's only 12-0. They're not out of it yet. Less than 8.
Foul.
Well,
on the defense
you essentially,
from the end of the run.
You essentially just added another play on there, Mark. Watch it one more time.
There we go.
Stepping back, looking to the outside. He's going to find Gittler out there. Gittler runs a nice out pattern. Good throw. Gittler catches it. Tippy toes, steps out of bounds. And now, here comes a late hit. Now watch. Here's how late. Bang.
Yeah.
You're going to get 15 for that every time.
Great job by the officials here. There's P.J. Sargent once again cutting across the middle, and P.J. Sargent went up in the air, and that ball was actually thrown behind P.J. Sargent. What a great pair of hands here.
Now you've got the wind with you. Look for Sargent over the middle. Quick pass. Dives inside the 15-yard line to about the 14. One more time.
It's a gutsy catch, too. A lot of traffic in there.
That's for the quarterback angle. You can see it. It's not a place for the weak of heart.
Ball at the 14. Sargent, the motion man. 1st and 10, Southern Columbia. Slater back throws. Had a man wide open in the flat. That was Sargent. Overthrew him. And Rick Damon in on the coverage that time. So there's your time remaining for Southern Columbia.
So important to have rhythm in this game. And that time I thought that Slater just rushed that pass a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sargent was free of his man. He had just broken off his man and just gotten into the flats, and the ball was just a little bit underthrown.
One nice thing for Southern Columbia, it did stop the clock on the incompletion that time. 7:33 to go in the game.
12-0 the score. Slater, who's got the ball? It's Slater still to the 10. That's what the wings he can do. Talk about mass confusion.
That's been a play they've used twice on 3rd down today, Jed, and that time they used it, but they smelled it out.
Defensive tackle Eric Kretz stopped the big play, too.
One time too often. Let's see it one more time.
Looks like Slater could have probably gone down to about the 5-yard line, maybe even closer to the goal line, but Kretz made a nice open field tackle.
Big 3rd down. You need to get to the 4 to get a 1st down if you don't get a touchdown.
Out of bounds.
That is a great call by the referee. At his feet out of the end zone. Well, I'll tell you, what a wonderful throw from out there by Slater. Let's see it again.
Didn't look like he was there, guys.
Had
Slater.
his feet out of bounds.
4th down.
Here you go.
Sorry, 4th.
No.
See the foot
Very
on
good
the
call.
line out of bounds, and a great call. Look at the referee position on the right side. Exactly where you want to be.
Right on the chalk.
Excellent
6:51 to go. We're in the 4th quarter of play.
6 out of 13 on 3rd down conversion so far today, and now the 4th down conversion, the most important of the game for Southern Columbia.
4th down and 7 now for Southern Columbia. Malone set back goes Slater. Back, looking, throwing into the end zone. It's too tall. They get down to the 11 this time and make yet another empty trip inside the 20. That's back-to-back trips now with nothing, and that has to hurt.
Yeah, it sure does hurt. 2 successive drives here in the 4th quarter as we watch quarterback Nick Slater drop back, looking for his receiver. He's open momentarily, but the pass is simply overthrown, and the coverage closes very quickly. A little too much air under that ball as Southern Columbia turned away once again. Late 4th quarter, drove to the 18-yard line, drove to the 11-yard line on the next possession, and turned away on 4th down on both occasions.
11 plays in the last drive, nothing. 8 plays on this drive, nothing. And now the march home maybe begins for Rochester.
A couple of 1st downs, and now the Rochester Rams can more or less salt this one away. Here you're going to see
That's Bacon. He's
Randy
been
Bacon.
all over it. Defensively, it's been his deal today. He's been sensational at the 1 cornerback position.
Forced a big fumble.
And there's a big chunk of yardage on 1st down, so now you've got a 2nd and a short 3, so you're in a much better position than you've been for a while.
Hey, you're looking at the Rams sidelines. Rochester's 6 minutes and 12 seconds away from a single A title.
And off Anderson has a 1st down and more as he pounds forward to about the 25-yard line, and the sand begins to whip through the glass now a little bit.
I'll guarantee you one thing, though. There are no coaches on that blue sideline thinking that they've got it salted away yet. They're thinking about all the ways you can screw this up as we see the 1st down run by Anderson, who's been superb this afternoon.
He has, and I'll tell you what, so has that offensive line. Some great blocking. Look at this blocking on the left side of the line.
Little trap block that time. You saw a man pull out, trap block, open up a beautiful hole over the left side. And again, Anderson takes full advantage of it. It's his 1st down, and the clock continues to run, 5:47. And if you're a Rochester fan right now, he can't go fast enough.
Big hole, back up, tailback, roaring through there. We'll get a number on him in a moment.
Darrell Damon.
Darrell Damon. Is it Damon?
Darrell Damon on a beautiful slash over the left side, and then looking, keeps the balance. What an outstanding run.
You know,
posterior cruciate damage. What's he, a PCL, an MCL, or an ACL?
I was just going to talk about that. This is just one tough kid. Yeah, a PCL or whatever to his right knee. He missed 2 months of the season, but he said, you're not going to keep me out of this state championship game. And I'll tell you what, he just did his team a big favor by picking up another first down and taking it out to the 41-yard line. The clock will continue to roll in Rochester's favor as Darrell Damon, big carry, and you could see the injury to the knee. He got up, and then it was a little bit tender, and he kind of limped back to the huddle. His right knee is really serious injury. Missed 2 months of the season, but he's back here in Hershey trying to win a state title for the Rochester Rams.
I don't know if we can see that play again, but if you can see the pressure on the knee, his knee kind of gives out a little bit both times, and he kept his balance with his hand down to the ground. But a wonderful run that time by Damon. And you can see Coach Matsuk here. He's making sure everybody knows what's going on. Now watch this. Watch the knee. He's going to, right there, he gets stripped up. Now he goes down. Now he goes down again. Look at the pressure on that knee and still manages to keep balance and then gets nailed.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there's no quitting that kid. Darrell Damon.
Well, he said before the game, not only will I let myself down, he said, more importantly, I've let my teammates down. I've got to be here this afternoon.
Got to love an attitude like that.
Rochester with a 12-0 lead. Big hole this time. It's Kirby Griffin. He's slicing and dicing to about the 48-yard line.
You're seeing the effects of fatigue now. I think in that Southern Columbia defense. They've worn them down in the line of scrimmage, and now you're seeing them. Rochester just taking them. Look at the holes that have been opened up the last 3 runs.
Right.
Well, I just looked over on the Southern Columbia sideline. Sorry, and some of the guys are on a knee already. It's been a tough football game for them.
And, you know, we talked about the fresh legs that both of these teams can bring to the running back spot throughout the game. And now all of a sudden, boom, here's Kirby Griffin, a sophomore, and he's picking up some positive yardage. Big 8-yard gain for Kirby Griffin.
Rochester, an offside penalty there.
Yeah, Rochester's pounding away at that line all afternoon long. There hasn't been anything fancy about what they've done. Right tackle, left tackle, right tackle, left tackle. Not much misdirection. But again, now's when you see it taking its toll, Mark. Getting that fatigue factor, wearing down Southern Columbia right now, and essentially marching this thing home toward the goal.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, you think about the Southern Columbia football team. I mean, their interior line has done an excellent job. You know, bottling everything up in the middle, but you know, it's been around the ends, and the linebackers have had to be very active throughout the day. So yeah, defensively as a whole, Southern Columbia is going to see a lot more wear because time of possession is definitely tilted in Rochester's favor. And at this point in the ball game, under 5 minutes to play, that's when you feel the effects of a long game like this.
Bring up second down now. We're looking at 7 yards to go.
Harvey, handoff, going to be Jackson again. Not much room to about the 46-yard line. 4:30 and counting to go in the football game.
I'll tell you what Coach Matsuk said in that last time out. Watch this. Cover it up. No fumbles. Everybody get those hands over the ball. And right there you see it. Keep it close to the chest. Don't give that thing up right now. As long as we have it, they don't. And they can't score unless they have the football.
Time is a precious commodity. For any coach, though, if you're Dan Matsuk right now, you're thinking about 100 ways you can lose this thing?
Oh, absolutely. But you're also thinking right now, you're done playing Southern Columbia for the afternoon, and you're playing the clock right now and that first down yardage.
Way back reverse, Bacon, he's had a big day, spins forward, and he's got a first down all the way down to the Southern Columbia 46-yard line.
You get the impression right now that Rochester knows that's the game. That play right there has just put the game in their pocket.
Huge first down, and look, it's the second effort from Randy Bacon. Watch this spin move right here. And I'll tell you what, P.J. Sargent saved the touchdown.
That almost came out, too. Did you notice how loose that was? Watch it. It's on his hip as he gets hit here.
Good misdirection that time, faking the handoff, and then letting him go right through. Bacon with a good spin to get the first down yardage. And that first down right there may take his team home to a gold medal.
Dan Matsuk coming down, putting a 1 in the air, meaning first down. Mookie Anderson, cutback move, big hole, across the 40 to the 37 or 38-yard line, about a yard shy of a first down. One more inch, and it's goodbye for a touchdown.
Yeah,
He was that close.
Ryan Breach gets him by just a fingertip tackle, we'll call this. Watch Ryan Breach come in here, number 28, just pulls him down there by the fingertips.
And where they were getting 2 and 3 yards of the first 2 downs before, look at this. They're now getting 7, 8 yards on the first carry. It's second down and short, the last 4 or 5 possessions coming down the field here for this Rochester team.
Second down and a short one. Oh, that's living nice. Handoff Jackson to the 31 and a first down.
You know,
Coach Jackson, who sat out the final last week against Smethport.
Coach Matt Sook puts up his one again to show the first down. About 2 minutes and 51 seconds. He may be able to put up a number 1 for another reason.
You know, Rochester, their biggest game of the year is against their sister city, Monaca. It's called the Bridge game. Every year, the bridge spans the Ohio River that links these two Beaver County communities. And the winner gets top billing on the bridge's sign. Rochester won the regular season meeting and the WPIAL final, so the bridge is the Rochester-Monaca Bridge for now. But I think Dan Matsuk's after bigger game here. He's about 2 minutes and change away from a state title.
Big hole, Kirby Griffin still going to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Rochester. Hello, state championship in single A. That should do it. The knockout punch with 2:19 to go.
You just saw the fatigue factor of Southern Columbia finally wear down after a wonderful season, and the determination of a Rochester team that's like a steamroller just continuing to go. Watch this. Flash here, bump here.
Fresh legs.
Break away, fresh legs still there. Look at the fatigue behind. And now head for the goal line one more time.
How about that block downfield by Randy Bacon that time? Number 20, that sprung him as well, right around that 10-yard line.
Well, that's one thing you really have to be impressed with, this Rochester team. I mean, not only the fresh legs, the tailback, but, you know, the work of the offensive line and the upbacks to just spring blocks and make holes for these guys. These guys run the ball. It's just an excellent ground game displayed by Rochester today.
Novich for the extra point, and it is good. With 2:19, nope, missed it. He hooked it wide left. So with 2:19 to go, a 9-play, 89-yard drive. And it's a Midas touch this time around for Rochester. They have struck gold in Hershey. In single A, the championship, they are out in front on the lead, 18-0. And here's Kirby Griffin one more time to pay dirt.
Just a sophomore, shakes the tackle right there. Eric Steffen, who's played a whale of a game for Southern Columbia as a linebacker spot, just can't haul Griffin down, and Griffin is off to the races into the end zone, capping a 9-play, 89-yard drive.
Somewhat ironic that during the course of the season, Southern Columbia gives up 18 points a game. Right now, it's 18-0. They also average about 29 points a game, but Rochester's having none of that this afternoon, as both teams have really played great defensive football. Yeah. But Rochester, now at this point in the game, seems to be the team with a little bit more surge and maybe a little bit quicker, a little bit more conditioning here as we head down the final 2:19 of this football game.
Well, the speed offensively and defensively has been very evident throughout the day. That has been tilted in the favor of the Rochester team at the outset. So Rochester really has used their speed to their advantage. Excellent game plan by Coach Dan Matsuk, and Rochester's just played really textbook football. They played their game today.
Well, I'll tell you what, they are beating a heck of a football team. Southern Columbia, I mean, last year made the Eastern Final. This is their 4th trip in 5 years to the big show in single A. And they've got a nice young nucleus.
Oh, well,
get back into it again. I mean, Jim Roth, you know, you look at the record, 113, 13, and 1.
In the 90s.
Enough said, as they say. We were talking to some of the Bloomsburg radio people, and they say there's some people who think it ought to be a little better than that. Talk about creating high expectations, Gary. Sometimes there are some people you're just never going to please, but I mean, that record is just phenomenal.
Well, the problem is you won a championship in '94 beating Western Beaver 49-6. You know, you can't lose this game till you get to this game, and you're going to play another team that wants to win every bit as badly as you do, and so you're here every year. Here we go.
Here comes Matt Bubness to the outside, midfield. Foot race, out of bounds, pushed behind by Griffin to the 41-yard line. Well, they're going down swinging. With 2:04 left, that'll stop the clock. First down, Southern Columbia.
Yeah, you make an excellent point about Southern Columbia as we're going to watch this pass play. Matt Bubness shakes a tackler right there. Their biggest pass play of the entire ball game.
30 yards in total to the 40.
Southern Columbia beat Western Beaver in 1994 to win the state title. Lost state title games in 95 and 96. They're back here in 98, of course, and they're the only team in Class Single A to be represented 4 times in the state title game since it began in 1988.
Slater still in there pitching. Intercepted by Chris Griffin at 6'4". He's going to win most jump balls. He will that time with a 5'9" P.J. Sargent.
Well, he's a great basketball player, and we used some of his basketball skills here on the football field. Watch it.
Here's your 6'4". Climb the ladder. Watch this. Go up, deaden the ball with one hand as he goes high to get it. Then look at the eye-hand coordination to bring it on down.
It's almost like he was ready for the putback, an offensive rebound type of thing, but that time Griffin just excellent play defensively. Made sure that ball stayed in front of him, too.
Here it is from his point of view. Pick it up in the air. That's a wonderful play, just to focus and stay with it.
Fabulous work, as always, with our WITF production crew. Great to be in partnership now with the PIAA and PCN. Seeing a little bit of state history today on PCN. First state playoff game ever to go statewide in Single A. We're back with you at 7 tonight in AAA with Allentown Central Catholic and Moon. Tomorrow in AA, the Red Tornadoes of Mount Carmel, champions out of District 4. It's an even-numbered year, so they're back in the title tilt. Going up against Shadyside, and they're gnarly. In 5 tomorrow, the number 7 team in the country in the latest USA Today poll. In the Quad A game, it'll be the champion out of the Central Bucks West at 5, going up against Newcastle, and apparently nobody's going to be in Newcastle tomorrow. They'll be here in Chocolatetown in Hershey.
Central Bucks West, the only defending champion in this tournament this year.
Hand off Mookie Wilson. I'll tell you what, that 36-yard run by that young man on the first drive really set the tempo today for Rochester. Settled them defensively, and I mean, they really brought the speed and brought the hammer down on that side of the football today.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. We're watching the work of the offensive line throughout the day, and it just opened some very nice holes for Anderson, Griffin.
Final seconds. See how the look right there. Greg Ludwig, he played well today. 6'4", 190-pounder. And there's the Rochester band getting ready for a gold medal celebration. That'll be an easy trip back into District 7 tonight on the Turnpike.
Won't even notice the hours on the way home this evening.
Big handoff. Jackson gets to the outside of the 31-yard line. Hit and drop by P.J. Sargent. He's a wrestler. He's still flying around the ball. We'll see him probably in March here.
Here we're going to look at
tournament.
Here's the third quarter touchdown. 18-yard pass. Zach Harvey to Brandon Matsook. Look at him stretch into the end zone for the score.
That'll do it. They're beginning to celebrate over on the Rochester side of the field. Here comes the big one by Griffin.
That was the final coffin nail.
And this game is over.
There you see the last touchdown Rochester scored en route to an 18-0 victory.
Kirby Griffin. And now the celebration in the middle of the field by the Rochester Rams, and it's a blue and white day here in Hershey so far.
As they say, there are no losers. As the Gatorade comes out the ice, you'll feel that. Our final score, Rochester 18, Southern Columbia nothing. For Gary Sutton, for Mark Shuey, and our entire WITF production crew. Phenomenal here in Single A. Big game for Rochester. 18-0. A lot of people we'd like to thank. The Rams are in with a state championship in Single A.
Hats off to Southern Columbia for an outstanding run this season, and again coming back and reloading again. And nothing to hang heads about today. Everybody on the field today was a champion.
Thanks to everybody with the PIAA and our hosts here with the Hershey Entertainment Company. J. Bruce McKinney, chairman of the board. For Gary Sutton, Mark Shuey, our entire WITF production crew, and of course our great friends with the Pennsylvania Cable Network and the PIAA. Our final score, Rochester 18, Southern Columbia nothing. We're back at 7 with a championship in AAA with Allentown Central Catholic and Moon. Until then, good afternoon, everybody.
this game was paid for by PCN and your local cable TV system.
You're watching PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network, a public service of Pennsylvania Cable Television Company. PCN is supported by Adelphia Cable Entertainment, serving cable subscribers in Dunmore and Rochester.